evening and welcome to another exciting show. Now, tonight we've got Patrick on mute. Yes, he's actually at work at the moment and he's kindly muted his microphone because there's a lot of background noise going on. And of course, we've got Survival Steve. Good evening, Survival Steve.
Hi,
We'll
guys.
have David on a little bit later. So he's coming on a bit later. And so is Paul English coming on a little bit later. So, shall we start with the product of the week award? Because Fuck 'em All likes to promote products from around the world. We're a bit of an international type of thing. So I'm going to show off this thing now. Now press that button there. I've got to press all my buttons. Hang on. Press that button there. Press that button there. And I think that should be sharing now. And this is a marvelous product. Ghana's best shitto. Yes. Hey, I like me shitto in the morning, And I kid you not, I saw that in Tesco's. Seriously. And for those of you overseas, Tesco's is a sort of one of the biggest supermarkets. It's a bit like, I don't know, can't think of an American equivalent. What?
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart. It's a bit like Walmart. So I bet you can't get a shitto in Walmart, can you?
I come from what Trump would call a shithole country.
But seriously, you get it in Morrison's, you get it in all major supermarkets, and it's Ghana's best. I mean, how do you ask for it in Ghana? So, hello, I'd like some of your shitto, please. What about a restaurant? You go in there and say, "Oh, what would you like, sir?" I'd like some shitto. It's a sort of a sauce, a hot chili with shrimp sauce. Got monosodium glutamate in it as well, so that's not bad, is it?
It would go down well in the army.
Yes.
In fact, I think that added to everything in the army cookouts. Shitto, yeah.
Well, let's have a look. See who's in chat first before we start. We've got Alice Gorgeous, a name I like. Come on then, let's have it. Well, I've showed it to you. It's shitto, isn't it? I suppose if you go into a restaurant in Ghana and you say this meal was shit, and their big blokes come out with cleavers with axes, you say this was shit. Oh. And then we got here Mark Anthony. Good evening, gents. Look forward to the show. Yes, always very kind. And we've got all you love. Oh, we're not nice. So that's Kitty Cat Rat. Hello, Kitty Cat Rat. That's very kind. And this must be the cultural attaché for Fockham Hall. That's Asperger's as fudge. That's hello. We got Sumus. Oh dear, Taishletta. Afternoon, everybody. I assume you may be in the United States in that case, if it's afternoon. Yes, so good afternoon. And of course, this geezer, who the bleed now's this? Nathan Lucius. Hello,
dodgy.
girls, boys, gods, and aliens. Yeah, it sounds. I think it's a similar bloke who wrote this book, isn't it? I think it. I'm not plugging it, of course. I mean, would I plug a book? I mean, let's face it. I mean, but that you get a mug with it as well. I mean, I wouldn't do that, would I? I mean, nah.
that book's got to be a bestseller by now. The amount of plugs it's had. I mean, apart from the fact that it's probably one of the best books in the world, especially chapter 666. That's an interesting one.
Yes. Here we are. 666, chapter 6. But there's been quite a few contributions to it as well, hasn't there?
Oh, there's been some awesome superstar celebrities of
that. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Now, what we got here now? We got Haji said, crocodile fat is good if you're a roll wakey called blimey wakey. Okay.
It's a little bit too cryptic.
Yes,
me,
yes.
you have to
Don't
come
get
back
that
with
one.
a.
Yes, I'd give up the. If I was you, I'm talking about a person with a bad cold. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, was it? We don't want to grow up. I tried it once and it made me ill. Really? Oh, shito. Yes, you might well tried shito. For those of you who tuned in late, you'll have to go back when it after the show and see the product of the week. You see it, shito. Now, for some unknown reason, my caption scanner's seized up. Oh, it is. I join you both tonight, but I'm really not feeling well. Oh, I'm sorry, mate. Maybe they finally finished me with the terrible diets and chemtrails.
Well, get well soon, Nathan, mate.
Yeah, get well soon. Let's have some nice thoughts. Sorry, I can't have the funny music in the background. That's it, Paul's asked, does the book come with CD of Happy Days Are Here Again? No! Actually, I think we've discovered a new torture method. You could sell that to the British Army, couldn't you? Happy days are here again. I'm not on drugs, Chris. Oh, sorry, mate. All right then. And Paul is sending you prayers, Nathan. That's very kind. Nathan says, don't you bloody dare stick that music on. Right. Well, if you are new to Telegram and channels like that, you'll see there is a very, very interesting channel called Occult Academy.
Hey.
And the gentleman sitting next to us does lots of write-ups on there, and somebody else does as well. And I think I pissed a lot of people off.
Well, the ones you didn't, I think I have.
Well, I've been writing about spoilt kid syndrome. And if you'd like to see it, boys and girls, just go on to Occult Academy, and it's written there, and you see Steve's write-ups. He writes a lot in there. I also write a lot on my own Telegram channel as well. And quite honestly, I think Telegram is superior to Facebook any day, because I'm finding the stuff I'm posting on, say, Facebook is not coming through. It's not going on there. It just goes into missed somewhere. I don't know. I post on other groups, and it's just not turning up unless they don't like me and not want him again. Oh dear, what we got here? And Asperger's as fudge wishes Nathan better. There we go. And we've also got Alice Gorgeous. Oh dear, I'm ill too. I'm terribly sorry to hear that. Got a chest infection and the mega snots. I suspect Nathan is man flu. Kidding. Right. Would you like to hear the Eric Von Essex? Well, it isn't mine really. Cold cure. Now, seriously. And I've said this loads of times, and you probably think, oh, blatant Nora, he's not on about that again, is he? When they had the FLU problem in 1918, the American government sent out a tender to find out any business that could actually find a cure for it, and Arm & Hammer won it. They're the people that make the toothpaste, and they won it with bicarbonate of soda. And I'll be very brief about it. They had medical tests on it, and it scored sort of highly with all the tests and all that. Then suddenly, Big Pharma came along, and in the mid-20s, it's all quietly forgotten about. But what you do, you get a beaker of warm water, put half a teaspoon and a very stingy half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda into the lukewarm water, mix it up. And on the first day of the cold, take it every 2 days. Every second day, take it every 2 hours. What did I say? First day, you take it every 2 hours. The second day, you take it every 4 hours. And the third day, You take it once in the morning and once at night, but you won't need it on the third day because your cold would have gone. And what it does, it turns your body from acidic to alkaline, because colds feed on alkaline and acidic and not alkaline. So it basically kills the cold, and that's it. So good luck with that, and I hope it works. But the downside is it gives you the flatulence, and also, and you'll be as a shittos. That's right, and you'll be in and out the loo, wee-weeing more than Niagara Falls because it's flushing the thing out of you. But it's pretty good, and also the bicarbonate of soda. Don't buy it. There's two types. The types that you wash your pots and pans with and wash the floor with. But that is sort of a lower grade, but you have to buy it in the sort of section where they sell cake stuff in the supermarkets and things like that. And you can get it anywhere, basically. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified. Please seek professional medical attention if you're required. This is just an old wives' thing, or not an old wives' thing. It's something I found out, and it works every time for me. Ta-da! Now, what I was going to say is what we're going to talk about tonight is survival. Well, this is the list of things we're going to talk about. Okay, and we arranged this beforehand. This was yesterday in secret, and was it survival? Thingies, pointy things that go bang. The occult, prepping. Not pooping, prepping, and self-defense. So,
that's a right mixed bag, isn't it?
What would you like to start with, Steve? It's up to you.
Oh, should we go for? Let's go into weapons. Should we start off with weapons?
Weapons.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Yeah. Why is that?
Because if it comes to self-defense, one of the top tips I give. And bearing in mind, I'm not the world's leading expert in self-defense, I have to add. But the good thing about not being an expert at fighting is you have to learn methods that are tactically advantageous without having to spend years studying karate, getting in the boxing ring, going down the gym and working out. Because let's face it, how many people are practitioners of martial arts and have got time to devote to learning such things? So one thing I advocate for is the use of something I call a mechanical advantage. And one of the first things I will, if I ever teach self-defense, for example, I will go straight into, get your toothbrush out. So get your toothbrush out. You got one?
I haven't got one on me, but let's imaginary one. I've got one here.
Okay. Hang on. Well, this is the thing.
I'll use a Falcon Horn Wonder Pencil. Imagination, you see. There's the Wonder Pencil here. It's
brilliant. Well, that's close enough, because if we compare the two, they're about the same sort of size. So people you're probably looking at that toothbrush and say, God, does he brush his gnashes with that? No, this is an old one. But the good thing about this is it's actually a bamboo toothbrush. Now listen to this. It's pretty solid, that is. Now imagine, Mrs. Miggins is walking down from the bus stop at 8:00 at night. It's pretty dark, and some bozo decides to steal her purse. Well, get your toothbrush out your back pocket or wherever you carry it. Bop him in the face with that, and he's probably going to maybe think about his course of actions. No self-defense schooling necessary. I mean, I could show you a million ways how to poke that in somebody's face, but I'm sure you get the you could probably do that without any training whatsoever. And there you go. Top tip number one, a toothbrush.
Seriously, Steve, that is a bloody... It's a bit like the invention of the paperclip. Everybody says, why didn't I think of that? But it's brilliant with its simplicity. It is absolutely brilliant. It really is. A toothbrush. And also, if the police stop you, it's a toothbrush, isn't it?
Exactly. You can clean,
Yeah. So,
I mean, you could, if the police stop you and, why are you carrying a toothbrush? It's so You could say, well, officer, so I don't have dog breath like you.
Or you could say, I identify as toothpaste.
Yeah.
That's why I got my toothbrush with it. That is a bloody brilliant one.
Well, there's other ways and means. I mean, using similar principles, mechanical advantage, I'm going to call this. Okay. And again, I don't know how many of your listening audience have ever been involved in a fight, whether it's a boxing fight, whether it's martial arts, or they've had a brawl on the streets, an unfriendly encounter with some bozo who wants to spoil the day. Punch somebody in the face, and you might hurt the guy you're trying to fend off, but it's very, very likely that you're going to hurt yourself. So if you punch somebody in the face, there's a good chance you'll break bones. These ones in particular, break very easily. So we might want to avoid doing that, especially if it's your first ever fight. You punch somebody in the side of the head, and the first thing you do is have a great deal of pain in your hand, and you're unable to do anything after that, because really you're out of the fight by then. Yeah,
I discovered that when I was a kid. Bash.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why boxers wear gloves, and it's to prevent things like that as well. But you could always pull out a Mark I marker pen. I mean, these are perfectly, legitimate to carry. In the UK, I'm talking about the UK, because the UK is very strict when it comes to, let's say, self-defense laws. Yeah, that's a great one, a Sharpie.
So, bang.
So that is a Kubotan in the self-defense martial arts world. It's known as a Kubotan, basically the same as a toothbrush, same sort of size, and all it is a little implement to apply mechanical advantage. And that could be not just as a striking implement, but it's also, you could use it in pressure points. Somebody grabs you, for example, poke it in the hand. Oh, I've just hurt myself there. Poke it somewhere where it hurts, and apply some mechanical advantage to it, and you've got your assailant perhaps thinking twice about his encounter with you.
That is, and also, I mean, who hasn't been walking down, say, a quiet alley, a back alley, and you hear footsteps behind you? Now, are those footsteps friendly, or are they not? And you think, your heart starts to, yours won't, because you're highly trained, but mine was like, and you think, I think I'll hasten my step, which is probably the worst thing to do. I think I'll go walk a bit faster, and behind you it walks a bit faster as well, and you think, bloody hell. Well, if you got something like that in your inside pocket, wouldn't it be handy? Where is it? I've bleeding lost it there. Here it is. So you just pull it out of the inside pocket, and you're just there, ready.
Exactly.
And if it's I've just done it in my hand. It bloody hurts. That is...
One good thing about these items, I mean, the toothbrush and the pen, they're everyday items, and you can have a legitimate reason for having these on your person in almost any situation. Now, I was saying that the UK has got some very strict laws. I'm not a trained lawyer, because frankly, the laws are farce, and I don't recommend it personally, but I do recommend the self-defense principle and the non-aggression principle. So if you intend to do no harm to anybody, it doesn't matter if you're carrying a bazooka, a Chinook, a fighter jet, a missile system, it doesn't matter, because if you're not going to use it and you're not going to pull the trigger, then the item is just a tool in your box, just like a pen, just like a toothbrush, just like a key fob. So a key fob, this is just a house key. I've usually got a little torch on it as well, because that's handy, on a plastic, let's just say a baton or a fob. So that's a rigid plastic material with a key ring attached. And again, it's the same principle. It's mechanical advantage. I can bash somebody with that, apply some mechanical advantage, and I don't break my fist. I don't have to spend years in the dojo learning martial arts. And if somebody gets hit with a little blunt instrument and it hurts them, again, they might stop their encounter with you without engaging further in mortal combat. And that's, to me, that's a win-win situation.
And also, they can't really turn it on you, because if you have a weapon, I don't believe in knives, but something like that can be turned on you, because the person that you're going for or protecting yourself from is probably a lot fitter, a lot younger. So, and this, I mean, it's harmless. Police pull you up. I'm arresting you for having a marker pen. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
If you're carrying anything, if you're carrying things like this, just bear in mind it's legal to carry, but in some situations, I don't know. Let's just say maybe a nightclub, for example. If you go into a nightclub and you do get stopped by the door staff on a sort of, I don't know what they'd call it, a stop and search to see if you're carrying anything they shouldn't, and you've got a pocket full of things like this, they might not be so keen on you entering the premises with that kind of thing. So it's worth bearing that in mind. But if you're walking down a vulnerable area and you feel vulnerable yourself, again, if you've got something like that in your hand, you will immediately feel a little bit less apprehensive. You'll feel a little bit more emboldened. So I would highly recommend it.
You can put one hand in, you have it in your pocket, one hand in your pocket, and then have your thumb over it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it's so simple, but it's brilliant. It's genius. And, you know, I've seen a lot of these self-defense things on YouTube, but I've never seen that, ever. Well, you get these bozos saying, oh, you pull someone that way and you do this and you do that. And you think, oh, bloody Nori, you know, you got to practice and practice and practice. But that, you don't have to practice. It's there.
Exactly. Work on instinct. And not only that, if you're in an encounter for the first time and you're not a seasoned fighter, you've never fought competitively or had to defend yourself before, in a barroom brawl, for example, you'll be like this. You'll be trembling. You'll be nervous. Your logical thought process will go out the window, and that's a lot of sort of self-defense instructors will fail to mention that nerves and kind of fear will eliminate all the good skills you might have learned. You'll forget because you can't.
Awesome.
That's why you go straight for a tool. And here's another one. This is a pen. Okay, so it's a normal functioning pen, but if I hold that a bit closer, that's called a tactical pen. And that's made of steel. It's pretty tough, robust, and you'll see it's got little pointy bits on it. And again, if I was to use that as mechanical advantage, I might stop an attack, at its earliest stages. Imagine getting hit with that on the back of the hand.
It would be nice. That's right. Because that's the thing that you've mentioned. It's nice we're sitting here calm and relaxed and thinking, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. I mean, I've had situations where I think, why didn't I say that in a situation? But in soldiering, you are trained, obviously, because you practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. So I guess it's instinctive. With my father, it was with was it unarmed combat. I mean, as I said, when he was in his 70s, he'd come at me with his drum handle, and within seconds, I was on the floor and his arms over my throat. The bloody hell! And he could still do that, even though he'd been trained to do it in his 20s. It's just automatic. He just did it. But I like that one. So, boys and girls, I reckon that most people watching this show will be going out with a bloody Sharpie tomorrow when they put it in their pocket. That's a really good advice.
There's one thing, Eric, I can guarantee, especially, I'm just going to say women, and I know, I'm just generalizing here, but only because a lot of women have told me that carrying something like that instantly makes them feel less vulnerable. And let's face it, we've got to be realistic. If there's a woman, for example, of a slight build up against a guy who's a bit tougher, whether physically or mentally, and he's a lot heavier and stronger, physically stronger, there's a good chance that guy will win in a fight, unless the woman is trained and is used to combat. So why not give yourself a little advantage and brush your teeth after the event?
That's right. And also, you think if you really hurt the poor sod, well, not the poor sod, the assailant, the police said, "Well, what weapon did you use?" "Oh, you just used a." They'd laugh in court, wouldn't they? They'd say, "Well, you just used a
Toothbrush,
toothbrush or a pen."
Yeah.
And okay, if you were stopped in the street by the police, so what have you got on you? Well, got a Sharpie pen. Well, I'll write things with it. You've got a reason to use it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
And in general, in the UK, and again, I'm not giving legal advice here. In general, as long as it's an everyday item and you have got a legitimate reason for it, a pen, key fob, etc., then this is usually acceptable. That doesn't mean that if you use it as a weapon and it goes to court and all of that stuff, it'll just be completely forgotten about. So all of these things need to be measured. So again,
that's right.
Fockham Hall is not offering.
That's right. We're not offering
legal advice here.
Not. It's not legal. Neither is it. We're saying violence. What it is to save yourself. You don't want to. You don't want to kill a person. You don't want to chop their leg off or anything like that. You just want to get out of the way. And I knew someone who was it wasn't black belt, but close in judo, and he said the first thing they tell you in judo is don't worry about saving face, run away. That's the first thing they learn. They said only use it if you're cornered. If you're not cornered, don't use it. And I think that was quite a thing. He said, if you even in front of your mates, don't show off. Just back off, and that's it. And I think that's. I mean, if you can see an escape route, leg it, get out of the way. But that I can't get over it. It's such good advice. And guess who's going to go out with his Sharpie in his pocket now? With a toothbrush, I don't know really, because that could be germ warfare, couldn't they? After I'll brush them off. Bloody hell,
Where's this been? Yeah. I've got a table full of different things here, mine.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated.
Should we talk a couple of easy ones? Because I must admit, right. I never go out the house without some sort of weapon, and I'm not just talking about. Well, I've got an elbow, I've got a fist, I've got a knee, I've got a head. Yeah. So all of these things are weapons in themselves.
But you're trained in that. We're not. You're trained.
Exactly, but instinct does apply as well, because the rule of common sense says, well, most people will understand how to throw a punch to some degree or how to kick somebody. That doesn't mean it's going to be successful, and doesn't mean that you can do it. But when I say I never leave the house without a weapon, I mean, I always have a cap usually, because I'm a baldy slaphead, so I like to wear caps. A cap is a great weapon. So I'll just demonstrate here. Immediately, that is a mechanical advantage tool with a fairly firm striking implement, a cap. Oh. So the peak part of a cap will hurt, and it will take, if you're wearing one, seconds to apply it.
I often wear a cap. That's a good one. That's
the next one, and I'm going to get slightly undressed here, so don't get too excited, ladies. So here we go, is a good leather belt, or perhaps even some tactical type belt with a big heavy buckle end, which weighs it. I mean, that's going to hurt if you use it, and it's also not only mechanical advantage, you've also got length, so you can apply that from a tactical advantage, a distance from your opponent.
Trouble is your trousers will fall down. Can you excuse me one moment? Whatever you do, don't stand up. But somebody mentioned, and I must point this out, that this is actually illegal to have pepper spray in this country. I think you're allowed in the United States, but it is illegal. So be very careful. And if you come at me with my homemade pepper spray, not just going down, you're in excruciating agony. I'm afraid that is illegal, and I wouldn't advocate that, because again, if you're stopped by the police, it's innocent. You've got a belt to hold your trousers up. You got a cap to keep your head from going burning in the sunshine, and you've got a pen to write things with. So
Yeah.
that's it, you know. But I thought I'd better point that out. It is very illegal to have pepper spray.
I mean, if you've been to the shops and you have bought some pepper, and that's just, I'll be careful with this because I'll be sneezing for the rest of the day. White pepper's particularly potent. Let's see.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine getting a face full of that. But it's a double-edged weapon. You throw that at somebody, and you're downwind, you're going to get a face full of it as well. But again, it would be, you could have a reasonable excuse for carrying that.
Yeah.
It's in your sandwich bag or whatever.
Yeah, it's for my diet. I have to have white pepper when I go and have a meal.
I love it personally. I'm a big white pepper fan, so
yeah.
But get a face full of. I'm not a big fan of getting it in my eyes.
No, that is pretty painful. I think pepper, if you get that in your eyes.
Yeah.
You know.
I might not be 100% on this, but I believe that you can get dog spray, like anti-dog spray. I'm not sure what it's called, but I think that is okay to carry in the UK. Again, I would seek advice on that.
I think postmen might have it. I think although they get training with, because a lot of dogs used to go after postmen, and there's something about postmen they don't like. But the thing is that the advice you're giving is absolutely incredible. I'm really fascinated here.
Shall we mention dogs as well, Eric? Because I mean, I'm talking about assailants. An assailant might actually be a dog, because there's lots of I don't want to use the term vicious dogs, but if a dog bites you, whatever that dog might be, it's blinking painful.
I know, yes.
Causes some injury. There might be a case where you are using these things to defend yourself against an animal, and that's a slightly different kettle of fish. Because it takes you right by surprise. They're very fast. They'll be faster than we can be. And I mean, I've been mauled. I'm going to say mauled by dogs in training. That's using army attack dogs. And trust me, if something like that gets a hold of you, you're going to be in a sorry state. So some sort of tool that you can defend yourself with. Again, that's pour that with dogs. Now it's gonna, it's not going to appreciate it. And if that's all you've got to defend yourself, then that's what you might have to do.
Yeah. Well, the other one is, Paul, I know this is a terrible thing, and I don't like saying this, but if it's a bloody big mastiff and they're going to have your throat out, and this is, I don't like this. I love dogs. I love all animals. But if it's between you and the dog is going to take your life, 2 legs, give them an instant heart attack. And that's my uncle actually did that. Didn't do it. No, what happened is there was, when my dad was very young, there was some neighbours that used to send the dog out after my dad, and thought it was a huge joke that their dog, that was a bloody great dog, was going for my dad. And my uncle was a PT instructor in the army, and he went with my dad one day, and the dog came out, and he just grabbed its front legs, and he said, if your dog goes out after my brother again, I'll kill it. He said, okay. He said, I know how to kill it. He said, and I won't do it today.
Yeah.
Just put it back. And that dog never went out after my dad again.
Yeah.
But
shall I have a look at a few other bits?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
So I'm talking about everyday carry things that you can probably leave the house with anyway. So here's some coins. All right, that's all the money I've got, by the way. So I'm going to keep
as much as that. You're very rich.
I've got about £3.50. I'm going to buy some shito.
Shito, yes. We'll be coming up to your house up north to have a meal with you.
So I like to keep my coins together. So this is just one of those little laundry bags that you used to get with
I know,
detergent. It makes a nice little swinging implement. I mean, I'd be careful with this one because you don't
gotta
want to
be,
lose
yeah.
your bus fare home.
That's right.
So, but if you wear glasses, so these little things you used to get them from Wilkinson's or the Pound Shop
Yeah.
or B&M.
Yeah.
If I'm allowed to say that, the little cases with the emergency glasses.
I've got one of those. Yeah, yeah.
Well, again, it's just a little mechanical advantage device, nice and tough, and you know it's.
You smash your glasses up as well at the same time.
exactly. But they're only £1, so we can live with that.
£1. Oh.
So if you don't want to splash out on that expensive Persol automatic or whatever, get yourself an old sock. Oh, yeah, maybe not that old.
Yeah.
An old sock, and you can use that to carry your coinage in there.
Yes.
Careful with that one because that's kind of an old gangster type thing, the old kosh with the coins in. So if you stopped and searched with something like that,
yeah. I mean, I think also you probably have to be a little bit more skilled than just using. I mean, the one I like is this. That's the marker pen. I really like that one because you've got to be a little bit more skilled because people here are talking about deep heat spray and things like that. But the trouble is, as I see it, you got the thing there. You've got to get the nozzle around the right way around, and you're shaking like a leaf. You've got to take the cap off, and you spray it in your own face.
Yeah. I'll be honest, there's people out there who, I mean, if you spray CS gas, like the things the cops use, there's people who are not too bothered by that. If somebody's in a rage or drugged up or just a tough guy, something like that's not really going to affect them. But if you stick a toothbrush in his face, it's going to hurt no matter how big and tough you are. Equally, you could use something like a torch, and there's loads of different things on the market. This was a cheapie from, one of the internet companies. Something like that. Again, this is just a relatively tough aluminium case, a sufficient size so I can grab it and hit somebody with it if I needed to, and it's also a torch, which you can see the dazzling effect of that as well. And there's loads of them.
The weakest person could use it as well. I mean, you think about it. I mean, when you do this into your own hand, that's very light and it bloody hurts. Just think what it would be. It's really to give you time to get out of the way, time to run away. That is terrific.
Yeah. So, is it worth looking at some of the comments in chat because I know
why not?
Mentioned umbrella.
Right, let's have a look. There we go. Here, was it an LED torch in the eyes is a beaut.
Perfect, yeah.
Yes. Now let's go and have a look. Now where's what type? Let's have a look. Alice Gorgeous. Let's have a look. What a lovely name, Alice Gorgeous. This is the one. Now Nathan Lucius says, is it okay to use that belt on my girlfriend's? I don't think you should be a girlfriend afterwards, or is that considered cruelty these days? Well, and your case comes up next week, doesn't it? Yes. I'm
going to say no comment to that.
Yes. And what we got here? Here we go. That's all right. Alice Gorgeous has said, yes, Nathan. Yes.
I have one.
Hello.
I'd like to mention.
Yes, what's that?
Hello.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Hello, Patrick. Yeah, you've been in the background. You're working. So,
yeah. But I have one that I'd like to mention. It's a big ring of keys. You put the keys between your fingers, and you use them to punch somebody. It's a real advantage in your punch if you have a ring of keys.
Oh, keys!
Keys. I thought you said cheese.
Cheese. That's for eating after you do that.
Excuse me.
I'm talking about keys.
Cheese. Yes. Have I got any keys here? I've got a key ring.
Yeah.
Got a key ring there. So what
Is that on a carabiner, like a climbing carabiner, Patrick?
Just like a key ring, you get a number of keys, and then if you, like you say, if you have somebody following you, you just kind of take your keys out and play with them. Getting ready if you're nervous, and you get the keys between your fingers, and then you use that to punch. It's really going to hurt somebody, and legally, you're just carrying around your keys. It's not anything abnormal to have a ring of keys around. I was taught that as a self-defense type thing in karate.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Like you were saying, the best thing is to run the other way or get away from the situation. That's the first thing. Yeah. And there's an old Red Fox saying. He used to say, "Heroes aren't born; they're cornered." And that's kind of what you got to look into. Is if you're cornered, that's when you start fighting off, trying to get away. Yeah. But the moment you get out of the corner, you run for the exit, get away from the situation.
Yes,
that's the main thing.
It's worth
mentioning. Yes.
Go on, after you, Chris.
Well, thanks, mate. I was going to say, Stephen Truthseeker said, if you're homeless, you won't have Yeah, it's a good point. But what about you see, I'm at a disadvantage because this is my key wallet.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think you could use that. I mean, that's had a hard life, as you can see. It's been sitting in my back pocket. But
you might have to start singing a song just to deter them.
Yes. But I really thought you said cheese at the beginning because you just say, "Okay, you got to run and go and get some cheese." But no, that's a good idea with the keys, isn't it? Have you seen that one that a bloke says on YouTube about if you're going to a place that's a bit dodgy, always carry, if you're a bloke, you can do this with a woman, have 2 wallets or 2 purses. So, and you have one wallet or billfold or whatever you want to call it that's got a couple of bucks in it. Nothing much. That's all. And same with the woman, you'll have one purse which is a bit crappy, which will have just a little bit of loose change and a few, not much in there. So they say, give us your wallet. You give them that wallet, you're not losing much. Mm-hmm. And you have the other wallet concealed somewhere else on your body.
Yeah.
That's.
Mine. I'm a Geordie, so. I mean, 2 wallets. I'd be living in the posh end of Newcastle if I had 2 wallets. Not only that, I mean, it would have to be a fight to the death if somebody wanted to take my money.
well, that's right. Alice Gorgeous says, walking stick, umbrella, keys, deodorant.
She's all over it, yeah.
Would the deodorant knock someone out? Especially my deodorant. Bloody hell, what gosh,
So I haven't got deodorant, but I have got air freshener because it's bigger. It's a great little clobbering stick, and here's a great one for home defense. If you've got a tin of that, by your front door. And I might have mentioned this at one time. What would you do if somebody came in your front door? Well, immediately I've got a tin of air, and I wouldn't squirt that in his face. I'd bash him. So there's a good battering stick, and it's. It's not an offensive weapon.
Yeah, yes.
If you're a tradesman, a DIY enthusiast, you might have.
Oh, yes.
Mark 1 silicon. I mean, check this out. That's a proper. That's going to give you a headache getting hit with that.
Especially the knobbly bit on the end. If that hits you, that knobbly bit that could. But Avon Kurt has said, soap in a sock, Full Metal Jacket style, soap in a sock.
Classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But things you just wouldn't think of normally. I'm really fascinated with this. It really is interesting. I mean, none of us are violent people or aggressive people, but you got to defend yourself. And I think this. And that is legal. You can do that. That is quite legal to defend yourself. But not, was it under law? I think it's not go over the top sort of thing, So,
yeah, it's got to be proportional.
Yeah. Hang on. We've got the ultimate here. Sorry, mate. What about Fockham Hall fart spray? Yes. You're sorry, you're going to say, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it would pay anybody to just have a quick internet search and see what the law states. Because what we don't want to do is get ourselves into bother because we
That's
didn't.
right.
I mean, what they say is ignorance is no defense in law. And
That's
if
right.
we do get into a scrape with somebody, we want to at least protect ourselves as best as possible
That's
from
right.
the long arm of the law, who will probably not look favourably upon us in any way, shape, or form. Having said that, I'm a full advocate of the self-defense principle, and I'm not on about the one that the legal system will say this is the one in the moral principles. Morally, as a human being, where we are morally, it's morally acceptable to protect ourselves from any aggression. So if somebody's coming at us with violence, then we have to be prepared, even if we're not happy about it, we have to be prepared to defend ourselves and others. That could be kids or somebody who's at a disadvantage. We want to be able to protect them as well. And what would that entail? Well, until the level of violence stops.
Well, the thing is, the worst wound you want to inflict on someone is a bad bruise. That's it, which will heal. Something that will heal. That's the only infliction you can put. Someone's like, bloody hell, I get half bruised. That's it. It'll heal. You don't want to tear eyes out and limbs and things like that. No, because there's the old saying: there's a difference between scratching your head and tearing lumps out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Yuki Brown says, "What about a fountain pen with no lid?" Well, again, you're going to inflict a very bad wound. So, you just want to get out the bloody way. That's all you want to do. And I think the police would probably advise this as well. I doubt it, but you know what I mean? You just want to get out the way.
Exactly.
That's it.
Any fool can stand down, face the consequences of a fight that goes wrong. And I mean, I've been training martial arts, boxing, self-defense. I used to teach self-defense. I would always rely upon situational awareness. And if I ain't got that because I had too many Nuki Browns, and I didn't have my full faculties for whatever reason, well, that's bringing disadvantage to myself. But if I didn't have the chance to weigh up the atmospherics of the environment, I would have to de-escalate as best as possible in my best Geordie accent to de-escalate a fight by talking to somebody. And I'll be quite honest, I've successfully done that lots of times where people have not been too happy for whatever reason. I've managed to talk my way out of a situation. Any fool can have a fight.
You're spot on. Just as I say, like that said, that judo bloke, run away, get away. Don't put yourself. I mean, I saw something the other week where there was people protesting about these hotels where there's asylum seekers, and there's a woman taking her dog for a walk. Now, I'm sorry, if you're taking your dog for a walk, would you walk where there's loads of people shouting, hollering? No, you'd take it around the back way, away from that. Why is she taking her dog for a walk in the middle of what looked like World War III? And there's someone there filming it, and the police are arresting her.
Yeah.
You keep your nose clean. Get out the bloody way.
Yeah, exactly. Situational awareness, isn't it? And that's essentially just an extension of the rule of common sense. If something doesn't look right, feel right, smell right, etc., if it feels abnormal, then let your senses guide you to make an exit, however that might transpire.
Well, I was attacked on the Tube once, and this is when I was a lot younger. I was sitting there minding my own business. This is on the subways, as we call it in America. And about 4 gang-type people came on and just sat around me, quite intimidating. And then they started sort of asking for money, and I just ignored them. And then I waited to the very last moment. And, right, I've got some money, bash. I waited to the very last moment, and when the doors opened the next station, I legged it. but they tripped me up and bashed me in the back, and I was luckily I got out and the doors just closed. But and this was about 2:00 in the afternoon when there's loads of people on the tube.
Wow. There's a thing. I think you mentioned this, the bystander effect. Don't expect anybody to help you. If it looks violent, most people will find some reason not to get involved in any conflict. If you've got a newspaper on the tube, I mean, I think a newspaper makes a brilliant. What would you say? Imagine.
Wow.
That's just a newspaper folded up. I've put sticky tape on this one just for demonstration purposes. This will take you all of 30 seconds to kind of wrap it into this shape. This end here, the bit where it's folded over. That's going to give you a little bit of encouragement to maybe pick on somebody else.
Yes. And Stephen Treeseeker said, I found shouting aggressively at 3 a.m. in my tent worked. Yes. But if there's nobody there, I'll tell you what I did hear from a dog handler once. He said, if a dog runs after you, the worst thing you can do is run. And he said, lean forward and at the very last moment, shout. He said, it makes the dog, it disorientates them. Because they're trained to chase something that's running. And if it doesn't, and it starts to move towards them and leans towards them, whoa, and then shouting, because he said dog's hearing is quite sensitive. He said, and I certainly won't like it.
This is Stephen raised a very good point there, and I think it was Stephen living homeless for a little while. I think he said before. I mean, I'd imagine he's got a lot of streetwise advice and probably learned how to defend himself, even if it's just by being assertive, and that's a great one. And this is probably one of the first things that people could learn without having to go to a dojo or self-defense classes, is to be assertive by, even if it's just practicing at home, raising a voice. And going through mentally, if I get attacked, I'm going to say words to this effect: back off. Yeah. Even if it's something crazy like that, something like the police would possibly say at a protest against old grannies when they're being angry and what have you. Yeah. Just use some assertive language and say it forcefully. If you say it with intent, at least you sound as if you know what you're talking about.
That's a very, very, very good one. That's an excellent one. And also, those of these bullies will pick on the weakest. That's the thing. And when I was a kid at school, my mates always said, if you're being bullied, pick on the ringleader because they're the weakest. So he said, the troublemaker, the one that's edging people on, they're the one to pick on because they're the weakest ones a lot, which is an interesting one.
Yeah. What I would recommend as well is have a game of conkers with the ringleader. So a game of conkers, you might recognise that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I don't know, an M10 nut or whatever it is. I'm not sure. Like M10, it's M12, a fairly hefty thing.
It's a wheel nut from a lorry.
Yeah, exactly. A fairly hefty nut. You also need a shoelace or a piece of paracord or something, just long enough to kind of fit over your head. Now, don't carry this together, but what you can do, if you think an attack is imminent and you've got time, an opportunity, this is a loop of string, basically. Let's see if I can put that back a bit. Put a very simple loop through it, so that's your nut attached, and that makes a nice little game of conkers. That. Yes. If you were to receive that over the head as a friendly reminder that you're dealing with the wrong person, that's maybe something to consider. Now, that's something you can carry as long as it's separate. So you can go on an aeroplane with that even.
Really? And also, you'd need a pot of varnish to repair your table after you just hit it. That's interesting. That's an interesting one. But the thing is, is it's usually groups of people, and you'd have to, if there's three. I mean, I had four of them around me. Now it's 3 or 4. My guess is once one has been plonked, bashed, the other ones will think twice about it, because I think once it's going, because they're cowards.
Yeah.
But
even so, if you want to take 4 people on, good luck with that. I was once getting harassed on a bus, and there was 6 people, and what my I mean, I would have got filled in. I'm not trying to pretend I'm some sort of hard case, but I sat in amongst them whilst. And just accepted everything that I had to say. I was unfazed by them. And when they saw that I was unfazed by anything that I had to say, well, it's either they have a fight and show how tough they are, or they kind of try to de-escalate their own situation by themselves, which is what they did. And I'm not saying I would have filled 6 people in, not by a long shot, but not everybody who comes across aggressively wants to fight. It's often, especially with blokes, it's just an ego thing a lot of the times. They want to assert their dominance or show off to their mates. Sometimes as well, like I say, some sort of mechanical advantage is sometimes worthwhile. I mean, this is just a plastic water bottle, so I can have a drink while I'm sat next to 6 people who are mouthing off. Have a quick drink. It looks fairly innocent, and if things escalate, well, I'll drive that right in your coupon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
But I think also what there's a lot of now is druggies and drunks. Now, drunks generally, I think, is it if you're outside 4 feet from them, they can't see you. I think a drunk can only see about 4 foot in front of them, so they're easy. But it's the druggies, because they've got almost superhuman strength.
Oh yeah.
That sort of.
All the more reason for a toothbrush. If you ain't got a toothbrush, we can always look around and improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's a given in any survival situation. One thing we might find, especially if you're in the rough part of Newcastle, you might find some old rubbish lying about, an old bit of domestic wiring. I mean, that extends into a nice long whip that you can flail like an attacker. Even better, this stuff. This is domestic house wiring. This is the 3-core stuff, and you can see.
Oh bloody hell! Yes.
Yeah, you can see that's fairly tough. It's flexible, but it's tough. Now, that's gonna spoil your day seriously, and especially if you twist it up like that. It's a very formidable item to consider if you find that lying around. Well, I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend carrying it in your pocket unless it's a zombie apocalypse, because obviously the cops ain't going to be too.
That's right.
Depending on the circumstances. If you ain't got that, well, if you ride a bike, you ride a bike.
Yeah, I ride a bike. Yes.
I mean, that's just a padlock. I lost the key for this, but it doesn't mean it's completely useless, because that's got a nice little.
A Poundland special will be perfect for that.
Yeah. And guess what? If your reason for carrying that, I mean, fair enough, you might not have a bike, but I go out, and when I leave the back gate, I take the padlock off, and when I come back, I put it back on, officer. Okay? So, again, don't set yourself up for a fail by not having a legitimate excuse for things.
This is unique. And I said this earlier, because you can see all these YouTube videos with these blokes, do this, but this is just perfect. I haven't seen a video like this, because you're saying
it gets better. I've got plenty.
It gets better. But Mark Andy said a lot of people these days do not have any situational awareness. Many are glued to smartphones, or listening to music, and are unaware of any impending danger. They are easy targets. Spot on. Yes.
That's a great point. And do you know what? That's probably one of the easiest, fighting skills that anybody can learn. I mean, it's a thing that you develop just by basically just being aware and applying common sense. And I mean, it is worth, if anyone thinks themselves a little bit not the greatest when it comes to kind of reading the environment, get yourself to a local shopping centre and just sit somewhere where you can sit with a paper or your mobile phone and just observe for a while and just have a look how people interact, see what body language is all about. And I mean, maybe go to a bar and do the same thing, kind of just engage how, or watch and learn how people engage. And you'll soon develop understandings of the way people kind of interact with each other if you're consciously observant of this. If we just wander around in a daze most of the time, you're never going to pick up all these subtle signs.
That's right. Well, hang on, I've lost it now, but I think it was Nathan said, and I've just lost it. That's it. He said, Steve, you will have no table left if you keep racking it up. Yes, they'll have the Association of Table Abuse on there. Just, I'm very upset that you've abused. I've used tables all my life, and you're abusing that table. And yes. But this is Exo says, just an OAP or tourist hitting you with a shopping trolley, maybe. Well, I'll tell you something. I was actually in a supermarket about a year or two back, and there's this woman with a bleeding trolley keeps pushing me up the house, and it was really getting on my nerves. And I just couldn't help but tell her, I said, excuse me, madam, if I wanted your trolley out my house, I'll put it out there myself. I don't need you to do it. And she actually saw the funny side of it, but but she kept all the time you're standing there, but bleeding mind, and but no, I think that but still my favourite is definitely the Sharpie pen. That's definitely this one. That's why, because it's so easy to carry as well.
Yeah.
Toothbrush, well, yeah, but I like that. Yes. Now we got here. Now, Steve, are you X22 for real? What's an X22? I don't know what it is.
I know what he's talking about there.
I don't.
Yeah, I was ex-military. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. You know your stuff. Let's put it this way. Nathan says, I need that to do my next presentation on. And Stephen Truthseeker said, toothbrush wars. Yes.
Yeah. If you don't want a toothbrush, you can always. I mean, this is zombie apocalypse material because this isn't legal to carry in the UK. Yeah. You can have something like that. This is a magic wand. So if you wave that at somebody who you don't like, for example, because he's annoying you, then watch him disappear. Now, I'll not hit this on my table because I will get into trouble, but I'll hit it against my walking stick. And you can imagine that's going to do you some harm. This is illegal to carry in the UK. It's an extendable baton. But zombie apocalypse tool, but why carry one of them when you can legally carry a walking stick, which does the same thing? It's a little bit slower to deploy, but this will extend and you can fend off a zombie or a drunk.
That's right. Yes,
again,
I mean, that's it, yes. Hang on. Now, Exo has said, ask Steve if a UK citizen can own what's an AR-15? What's an AR-15?
It's a machine gun.
Oh,
I don't think they can. No. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not sure what the gun laws are in the UK in regards to that. I don't believe that fully automatic or semi-automatic rifles or assault rifles are allowed in UK gun laws. I'm not really sure.
I don't think so.
Very unlikely.
Yes. Now, Matilda, is that Matilda? Yes. I was attacked from behind. And people filmed it rather than step in and help. That's right. The people did. Yeah. They was filming. Well, look what happened with me on the tube. It was 2:00 in the afternoon. It was, lots of people around.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get involved. But mind you, I was a lot younger then. I was going back quite a few years. You know. I mean, Queen Victoria was on the throne at the
time. Imagine if you had your toothbrush, how the tables could have been turned.
You're right, yes. And Exo says, my posh mate from Norfolk. Do you have posh people in Norfolk? So Chris the Gardener's not watching. Has a license above shotgun. He has a license for a shotgun, I think, and has one. I was astonished to hear it. Yeah, you can legally get a license if you're going to, I don't know, if you're a farmer or something. Alice Goulding says, I was being strangled by my stalker. Oh dear, I'm sorry to hear that. That's quite serious there. That's awful. And this couple ran away instead of helping me. I need him in the ghoulies and ran away too. That was 30 years ago.
Wow. That's horrible, that. I mean, well done to you, Alice, so for sticking up for yourself. You probably had more balls than him.
Yes. That's take balls. Cheeky bastard. Chris was only 68 at that stage. Cheeky sod. But was it? That's very cool. Laugh at that. Yes. But I was thinking, what about if you was a very keen astronomer and you carried one of these very heavy brass, what do you call it? Telescopes.
Yeah.
See, that could, as long as it was a cheap, shitty one, yeah. But may I ask you, have you ever seen the film? What is it now? It's a French film made in 1968. And I saw it when I was at college, and they used to show it because it wasn't allowed to be shown anywhere else. And it was shown on Channel 4. What was it now? I can't remember it. It's a very weird film, but it was all grunts and moans. No dialogue in it. And it's a really weird film. It's about a bloke who turns into a cannibal. And his particular delight is gendarmes that he eats. And there's this scene where there's this gendarme about to go out. And he's making himself up in front of the mirror and he's doing all this. And he walks out. Next thing you hear, boom, and you just see two legs disappearing under a car. And it's Femrock. That was it, Femrock.
Okay.
What a bloody weird film. Did you ever see that at all, Femrock?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, no. It was shown on Channel 4 at 2:00 in the morning once. Right. And Mary Whitehouse, when she was alive, she was quite upset about it. But nobody knew what the bleeding hell it was about. I was sitting there watching it. It's just grunts and stuff. Now, Stephen Truthseeker says, I've had stalkers. Some of them stalked me when I was living in my tent.
I bet that's unnerving when, if you're camping or on the streets, if you're in a tent, you do feel kind of vulnerable because you can't see what's going on around you.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's a chap called, what's his name? Is it Nomad Sam or something like that? There's a chap who actually lives in a tent. He's actually homeless, but he enjoys it. He loves it because he's got it down to a fine art, and he actually's got his tent in a very remote part of, I think it's Dorset. He doesn't say, but it's beautiful. He wakes up in the morning, he's got the sea in front of him.
Awesome, yeah.
Very nice though, until it starts to snow, until we come to winter. Then I think it's going to be a bit different. But it's all according how your body can adapt to cold, and it's what you eat that makes you adapt to cold. Because I feel the cold less since I've changed my diet. So it's surprising what diet does. But I think in a tent, when I used to go camping, I felt very vulnerable because you've only got a piece of cloth, and that's it. And any mad axeman can come along with a knife and at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I like the idea of what they're doing in Germany. I put it onto taking the liberty to put it onto your site once. That was these bike caravans that they're making.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes, but the trouble is they're made of polystyrene, and I think and the mad axeman, they get through that with no problem. It's probably worse than a tent.
But again, some sort of implement that you can use in a close quarters. If somebody does attack you, it does give you a little bit of an air of confidence. It's better that than to feel massively vulnerable. And even if you're in a car, or even let's just say if you're walking down the street and you think, oh God, somebody's following me, or that guy looks dodgy and I ain't got nothing. Well, guess what? Cars carry. All right.
Windscreen wipers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't tell my son. I borrowed this off his car. But this is, you think, well, it's rubbish. It's just bendy and rubbery. But again, it gives you a little bit of distance. And if you have to wave that in front of somebody's face because they're coming at you, then that's better than nothing. And again, you can always give it back put it back on the car once you've finished clobbering your assailant.
Yes, you might have to clean his windscreen now because it'd be full of bits of blood and body in it. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, that's interesting. Another one I heard about with cars, and that is when you get out of a car, switch the radio on. It's all according to what car you've got, whether it deadens it. And the old cars, you could do this. Switch the radio on, and of course, if you take the ignition key out, it won't come on. And put the volume on full. So if someone tries to break into your car, they'll switch the engine on, and the trouble is, 9 times out of 10, you bleed and forget it and blast your eardrum.
Do it yourself, yeah.
Now, hang on. Now, Exo says, here's my DIY personal defense purchase. Aside from my homemade pepper spray, wasp nest aerosols. Why not take a wasp nest with you in a bag? Yeah, I've got. Do you like animals? Yeah, I can have some.
Yeah. I'd imagine a mouthful of that would put you right off, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
What's this? Alvin Court says, I had 4 mini scoop 2, 18 drivers, 15k randos. Sorry, I think I'm sorry about this. I think I've gone into a chat. I'm terribly sorry. But that again, was it mechanical implement? What was it? What's the Army's
mechanical advantage?
A mechanical advantage.
So the tools or implements that we've been talking about have been for short range mechanical advantage. So now what I wanted to talk about is something a little bit more long range. So,
very interesting.
Recognize that. So this is
9
going
volt
to give you a clue. 9-volt battery. Yeah. So here's another one. Let's have a little look at this. Right. So these are all dead batteries. And I dare say everybody probably, at the end of the year, you've probably got a jar full of these or something. Yeah. And you think, well, I'll take that the waste disposal or Tesco's or whatever, and they'll redistribute them or do whatever they want with them. So these are quite handy for long range mechanical advantage, but not by themselves, because what you will need is who needs a rifle or a handgun when you've got a catapult? So have you ever fired one of these?
Oh, never. No.
Never.
I've never.
So a catapult, and I'm not going to fire this, but you can see all it is elastic on a handle, and don't get rid of your old batteries. Use them to fend off the zombies from a distance during the zombie apocalypse.
As we're talking about zombie apocalypse, and also for target shooting in your garden.
Yeah, and nothing but. You wouldn't want to use them for anything else.
We wouldn't use it, because and also to make one, look at the Slingshot Shot channel with the German bloke.
Yeah.
Now I show you its features, how it works. You know, what was his name now? But have you? I guess you've seen the Slingshot
I've
channel.
seen it. Yeah, is that the one where he makes them out of different things and
Yeah,
different type of
yeah,
designs? Yeah, there's some
yeah.
great ones.
And he
Yeah,
uses what is it? Kelvin R, something like
Kevlar,
that.
right?
Kevlar, I think it is. Is it? I think they're used um for disabled people.
Okay.
This is sort of a special rubber elastic that is used for something in this. I can't know what it is.
Okay.
That's not for catapults, I'll show you that. But Nuki Brown says, "Is that the famous Black Widow catapult?"
It might well be. I know I've had that probably since I was a kid, to be honest, that one. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Catapults are, I mean, a lot of people talk about crossbows and this, that, and the other, and guns. I have to tell you what, you don't need a license for this. I mean, I've literally had that probably since I was a kid, and it still works. I've changed the elastic a few times. It still works, and again, that's gonna cause some. You know, you can have a think about what you could do with that.
To a target, of course.
Nothing but targets.
Metal target. But actually, on a serious note, my in the 30s, I think it was, yes. My cousin had his eye taken out with a catapult. He only had one eye. And what happened is there was a shop that sold them. My aunt and uncle used to live in a place called Farnborough in Kent. And lovely little country place it was, no longer like that. And what happened is, yes, my cousin had his eye taken out, and my uncle got them banned in the shop and around the area.
All right.
I think that no, I mean, it's like anything else. Most things are harmless, and it's just now we're looking at, shall we say, target practice just for fun. Not really harming anybody. I think we put it that way, I think that's the best way. What is it? Exo says, I'm sorry, Treatment Truth Seeker said, would that battery take out a squirrel?
Yeah. So these can be used for hunting as well. So it's hunting small game such as rabbits, squirrels, pheasants,
What about
birds.
an MP? Would you an MP? Sorry, I shouldn't say that, no.
For an MP,
I'm joking, yes.
For an MP, you need something that you've picked up in the woods, like this thing. This is what's brown and sticky. Well, this is a stick. Oops, sorry, table. The table's got it again. A nice heavyweight piece of stick. You need a real good excuse for carrying that around with you, but that would do well to educate some of the MPs, I believe.
Really?
Oh yeah. Let's face it, some of these MPs, they need a good education.
Yes.
Is an MP a bit bigger than a squirrel?
Slightly. Hello.
Recognise that voice?
Yes, it's Paul English. Good evening, Paul.
Hello, Steve. Hello, Eric.
You've missed the product of the week, hasn't he?
I haven't. I've been listening for an hour. I've been here for about an hour.
Are you going to rush out to Tesco's and buy your product of the week from Ghana?
No, I haven't done yet.
No,
I haven't. Why? What was the product of the week? I must have missed that bit. Was there one specifically great product?
I'll show it again because I like showing it. Just one moment. Said the actress of the Buship. I've got to press a few.
Oh, some shito.
Yes, Ghana's best shito. I wonder where they collect it from.
Chili sauce with shrimp. Oh wow!
Yes, I wonder what the other added ingredients are.
Maybe you could use that as a defensive weapon. I mean, really, you probably could. You could smear it on your attacker, or offer them a nice. Would you like to have some shito? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So there we are. So you got your shito there. So nothing like it. But anyway, there's going to be another product of the week next week from all around the world. You see, international cuisine we're looking at. So shito. But I think they speak English in Ghana. Is it English? I'm sure they speak English.
I think they speak shito actually.
Shito.
Isn't that their language?
What? Who thought that one up?
I don't know. It's good though. No, it's quite good.
Yes, but Yes, the self-defense thing. So I bet you'll be going out with your ballpoint pens and things tomorrow, and underarm deodorant and your walnuts.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody mentioned wasp spray, but I don't know whether that's any good, really.
Yeah, we get the nods the wrong way around.
I mean, I know a guy, I think I mentioned it, I know a guy at Oop North, not with a dissimilar accent, Steve, to yours. He's considerably older. He's in his 80s, but he's a murderous man. Well, he's an assassin. Anyway, very interesting guy. So he has a very long military record.
Ex-assassin, I think we should say.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think once an assassin, always an assassin. I think it's one of those tools, those skill sets you never forget.
Oh, hang on a moment. Can I stop you there? If we all have a wit round, how much would you charge for Tony Blair and Keir Starmer? I mean, we could actually have what they call it, a crowdfunding on there, crowdfunding to get a professional to take out Keir Starmer and Tony Blair. I'm joking again. I'm not serious. I'm joking in case the police come knocking on my door.
I don't think we need to worry about that. I think they're going to take themselves out of circulation. I think they're denying themselves the oxygen of intelligence. They're very strange people out there. They're very odd. But yes. What he had, a friend of mine's got one actually. And what he was saying was, he said, and I think the main problem for most people is just the fear that starts running through your body when you're in a situation that you're not in control of. I would have thought that that's the main thing, particularly if you're outnumbered. Yeah, and it's all right when you're a kid at school. It's different because it was when I was a kid at school, because you knew that people that were going to bully you at school, they didn't have knives and things. Now it's just nuts, right? I mean, It's sort of got insane, hasn't it? So everybody's or at least the perception is that people are carrying things. So the idea of an honourable fight on the pavement outside the pub seems to have gone out of the window. The idea that there would be some chivalry left in that. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's not the perception now, is it? It's just a sort of mad thing. But he said that the main thing is always he said the main weapon's psychology. And of course, he's talking about in a professional setting, and he's actually going to terminate someone's life. So it's quite a different proposition. But I know that there was a little thing that my mate had. He showed that a friend of his showed me about 2 or 3 years ago. It was a pen. Just a pen. It looks like a pen, right? And you call the people over, or if you're being confronted, you say, well, I'll sign something. And as soon as they're within distance, the pen basically has got this 6-inch needle in it. And that's all it takes. The leg, anything at all, it'll just incapacitate people instantly. But you've got to be calm enough to allow them to get right into your space so that you're right in their space. So I would imagine that emotional control is probably not possible for most people, particularly with this sense that they're going to be physically overpowered. And also, I think that there's no such thing as a fair situation. The things I tend to sort of read about, I don't know if they're always true, is that the people that are getting done over are outnumbered, particularly with certain types of people. They act as pack animals. So I would have thought the number one policy is to get away. Yes. You can't deal with it. It's a bit like we wanted to get away from all the mask wearers because, you're looking at a latent lunacy there, that sort of and I think that's what happens. So when people kick off in groups, I mean, I've been in 2 pubs where fights have broken out. This is when I was a lot younger, and it's nothing like in a film, is it? It's complete madness. I mean, everybody kicks off, chairs are flying around. You go, hey, this is not about a skill set. If I'm here, I could get my neck broke or something just as easy as anybody else. It's total mayhem. And of course, no one's in charge because everybody's fueled by booze or whatever. So it all kicks off. And people throwing pool balls at people, which are really, really dangerous. We got threatened 2 or 3 times with guys with pool balls coming in absolutely out of their box on booze. Really furious. I remember a couple of times outside the chip shop. I'm going to throw these at you. Sort of maniac, from about 10 feet away. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to go well if that thing hits me in the head or something, So the people kick off savagely, don't they? They do. So I think getting away is the best policy if you can do it. But if you can't, you have to call Steve up and hope he can turn up in time.
That's right. But Stephen's Truth Seeker said it's gangs and flash mobs. Stay away from big city centres. It's a bit like the girl that runs into a police station and says, help, I've been raped. The sergeant says, "Surely, madam, you mean raped?" She said, "No, there's a bunch of them." Sorry. So it's a terrible one there. And, but no, actually, when I was at school, one of the kids was a bit doolally, I think, and he started throwing darts at us as a group of us, and we were edged in a corner. And when a teacher came in, he's going to aim the darts at the teacher as well. The kid had just gone, yeah.
Yep.
That's, not very nice having darts aimed at you, I'll tell you that. You know, and
I suppose it's when all possibility of any peaceful resolution with the maniac, you realise it's not going to, at that moment in time, that's not an option. It's just not happening. You can't get through. And I mean, you know, you look at the state of people generally anyway. I mean, most English people are so brilliantly behaved. I'm serious. I'm not mocking that. They are.
I agree.
But they're all, you know, no one wants to be in that sort of situation. Because your life can change terribly with things like that happen as well, you know, and it's never the same again. So, you know, everybody's right to be wary of that stuff. It's not cowardice. It's actual common sense, to be quite honest, because there's nothing.
It is.
There's nothing sensible about the situation, but I think the best thing is, don't go into city centres late at night because you don't know what's going on, and you know, you just stay at home and do jigsaw puzzles and enjoy your life.
well, Exo says alcohol is a state weapon. Call me dramatic, but it's true. And now it's just
blame the bloody monks.
Someone aims a dart at me. I'm taking it off them swiftly. Well, hang on a minute. If that person is quite a distance away from you, a fair distance away, and they're throwing these darts at, say, 3 or 4 of you, and there was about 3 or 4 of us cowering in the corner, and we turned a desk over to protect ourselves, but of course parts of your body is exposed. You didn't know whether it's going to blind you or not, and the poor kid had gone dappy, unfortunately. I don't know quite what had happened.
Too much geography.
Well, that's right, yes.
Too many geography lessons. It does that to people. It drives them crazy.
Yes. Now, Nuki Brown says, is it too late in life to learn self-defense?
I'd definitely say no to that. Everybody should learn something rather than nothing, no matter what that might be. And I'm not saying you have to go and learn Kung Fu, but it'd be worth having a little bit of streetwise sensibility about you. If that just means going to a couple of self-defense classes, watching, there's great videos on YouTube, for example. You can pick up a load of skills from that. Even if it's practicing with, I don't know, your partner, your wife, boyfriend, your friends, for example, if truthers want to get together and just practice something that they've seen on YouTube, for example, amongst themselves, it's better than nothing. And as I say, have a force multiplier, something that'll give you some mechanical advantage. Then you are ready to go out the house, and you're better equipped and more capable than you were yesterday just by doing that one simple thing. And if you can apply some other self-defense skills on top of that to your arsenal, then happy days. And I don't think there should be an age limit on that.
That's right. Alvin Kurt says 100% warrior spirit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, we're not advocating violence. We're talking about, if you like, you're cornered and you really are in a desperate situation. We don't want to be violent to people, and that is actually moderate, because you're not going to take an eye out or anything like that.
Yeah,
you're just going to, at the worst, bruise someone. You know.
So I would add to that by saying violence is almost forceful coercion. So in order to do some form of harm, so that doesn't always mean it's going to be physical harm. It could be any matter of criminality. That could include just thieving off somebody, for example, a measure of violence in order to steal somebody's wallet. To counter violence is the word aggression, and aggression is the ability to use force to counter violence. So that's what I would advocate, is the use of aggression in order to conduct self-defense. So self-defense, self-protection.
I suppose what you could do also is, if you photocopied some £5 and £10 notes, and wrapped them all up, elastic band, and put them in your pocket. Someone comes to rob you, like I was saying, like having 2 wallets, you could just get that out and say, "Oh, here, that's the way I keep my money." Because some people do keep their money like that, and they're all photocopies. They're worth nothing. But but yeah, I do like the coins in the bag though. That could that could do some, shall we say, free dental alignment for someone. Now, hang on. Alvin Kurtz says, you have to remember that if someone wants to hurt you or someone you're with, you either run or you go ballistic. Well, going ballistic, you've lost it. Really, you got to keep a cool head. Really, I would have thought. I don't know. I'm no expert, but
it's easy to say keep a cool head, but in the stress of the situation, if you're not used to having somebody come at you with a measure of violence, and this is why I would advocate for people to have some sort of training, whatever that might be, just to expose themselves to. It's like anything else. You can't drive a car without lessons. You can't expect to win a street fight without lessons as well. So if you've had no training, don't expect to become a winner just because I
know what you mean. Sorry, mate. I'm chiming in there. Carry on, Steve. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I was going to say, I mean, the army training is probably the best you got. I mean, the rest in the world, but people can't have granny. I think I joined the army so I can learn some self-defense. No, that won't happen. So, no. I mean, how do you tell the good places to learn self-defense and the bad places? I mean, is there something you can sniff out? I know it's a difficult $64,000 question, but I mean, in Waltham Abbey, there's a judo place where kids go, and they've got a big, it's like a shop, got plate glass at the front, and you can actually see them, throwing people around and all that sort of stuff. But I would just want basic self-defense, so that it happens automatically. You don't have to think about it. Like my dad. It just flicked straight on. How do you get to that stage? I mean, I know it's a $64,000 question that I've asked there. It's a difficult one, but it must be very difficult to get into that stage where you just second nature. There it goes.
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. Practice makes better, and I think you've got to be realistic about what your likely skills are. I mean, I'm generalizing here. I don't know everybody who's listening, but if you ain't built for fighting, well, it's probably not a good idea to try to box with somebody. Or if you have got injuries or disabilities, that might limit your abilities for what you can practically do in a situation, a violent situation. It's the one thing saying run away, but if you have a walking stick, or you're in a wheelchair, or you've got a gammy leg, running away is not an option.
Paul has said, I remember when the guard on the train carried bags of cash, and some drunken football muppet was playing it tough at Shrewsbury Station with a guard, and the guard clobbered him with his day's cash bag.
No change there, then.
Oh.
It was a costly mistake.
Yes.
It was. Didn't have to call the coppers. Yeah,
oh dear, oh Lord.
You'd think we'd rehearse that.
Oh.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Well, as a gay butcher around my way, and he left his partner because he put his meat up a couple of coppers.
It's all coming out now, Eric. As it gets past 9:30, and it just goes sordid.
Yes, small smut, but fantastic. This is the past. This is really interesting what you come out with, Steve. It really is a fantastic show. I mean, this is an ace one. I'm really enjoying this.
Happy days.
But what about the pointy things that go bang?
I'm
thinking because I'm actually thinking of buying an air gun. because you don't need a license for air guns. But
Mhm.
would you say that the old catapult is probably better than an air gun?
Well, a catapult, and let's just get that back on the screen again. These are very cheap. They're very easy to practice with. I mean, you could use that, and I'd say most intents and purposes, you could probably use that in your backyard, your back garden to practice with. The ammunition's very cheap, so then these will last for years, and you can carry one of these around probably with a lot less hassle than you could with an air rifle. So an air rifle, for example, and I'm not, an air rifle, you need the landowner's approval before you use it in the UK. So it's a little bit different. I mean, I used to live in the country when I was a kid, and I had an air rifle from about the age of 12, and I had one all the time. But it was a lot different then, and plus I was out in the sticks. If you are caught with one of these nowadays, and let's face it, the rules and the legal system nowadays is very robust. The likely chance of getting prosecuted is probably higher with an air rifle than it is with one of these. And again, as long as you've got...
Good point. Well, I was actually going to keep it at home. That's it. Just
okay.
But actually, catapult, you've convinced me there, because you can make it yourself. It's not difficult. Very easy. And what about these? What the young children in a place in the Middle East, they swing
a sling.
Sling, yeah. You need a bit of skill for that, I would have thought. So,
What about a pea shooter? They're very small, aren't they?
Yes.
And all you need to do is get a few little darts that go in your pea shooter. We keep them probably in a disused cigarette case or something, which I know we all have, and just tip it with a bit of Karari, and then you're away.
Yeah.
So that will cause paralysis in the attacking people, and of course you can just fool around and say, "Have you seen my pea shooter?" Because they all think it's a joke, and then that's it.
Well, Stephen,
very small, go in your inside jacket pocket.
Yes. Well, you used to
make
them
know you'd have one.
When I was a kid at school, they used to make them out of biro tube. You know the biros. You take the innards out, and dirty little bastards used to put bits of paper in their mouth, chew it out, and go. And so you get a bit of damp paper on your neck. But Stephen Truthseeker said, "What about crossbow laws?" Well, you need a license in Scotland, but not in England, Wales, and I don't know about Northern Ireland. But you don't need them. Don't need one in England, I know that for a fact. But you can make your own crossbow. They're not that difficult to make,
How about a bow and arrow?
Sorry?
How about a bow and arrow?
Yes. Made out of a bicycle wheel, which you can do.
So no. I'm talking like a compound bow. Decent one.
Yes, like a what do you call the trouble is you've got a lot of training to do with that, because you've got to have strong arms, haven't you? You got to the old.
You look quite good in the pub though, with a 6-foot longbow strapped across your back, wouldn't you? Because they're pretty big, those longbows, aren't they? They're above 5 foot. Have you ever seen that guy? I've forgotten his nationality. The guy that's just amazing with bow and arrow, talking about how lethal they actually really were. Much more devastating than crossbows, although crossbows, of course, are ludicrously accurate and very powerful. But they're more cranky time. You can't loose off as many crossbows because you've got to cock the thing. And he was showing how they would literally have bar fights with bows and arrows. He could get the arrow onto the notch it and everything in like under a second. Yeah, so if you're having an argument at a table, he's got his bow, he's got the arrow pointed at your head, all these things that he did. And the really skilled archers would be able to grab the arrows coming at them from the enemy out of the air and fire them back at them. And he does that. He actually grabs arrows, that sees it coming at him, steps to one side, grabs the arrow out there, fires it straight back. It's quite impressive. So these guys were, it's just, and I mean, Attila, was it Attila the Hun? They had these short bows and arrows, didn't they? And they had a different saddle made. so that they could actually fire coming forward. And then as they were leaving the village, they'd be able to turn around in the saddle. They weren't stuck in one direction and fire backwards. And I think their bow's only about 3 feet long. Maybe it's bows and arrows and horned helmets for us out on a night out on the lash.
But the thing is that the crossbow had an advantage in that a peasant could use it and didn't need much training. Whereas to use the longbow, you need a lot of training. And yet they had to start very, very young, I think about 11 years of age or even younger, because it was law. I think it's still on the statute books that you have to every Sunday practice for so many hours to use this bow.
Mm-hmm.
But the longbow wasn't called a longbow. It was called a war bow, and they named it the longbow in the Victorian times. It's a modern name for it, yes.
Well, here typically you had people, you had bow hunting season for deer, and it used to be you couldn't use a crossbow. That was only for people who were handicapped in some way. Say they were, they couldn't use their legs and were in a wheelchair. But then as time has gone on in the last 10 or 15 years, they've allowed people to use crossbows for hunting. But you don't need to be as skilled to use a crossbow.
That's right. Asperger's as Fudge, who should be the cultural attaché for Fockham, talking of the longbow, reminded me of Robin of Sherwood. I used to like that show that program as well, which is one of my favourite series, especially Clannad, who actually sung the title to it. And I got the LP. It is bloody good, yes. Robin, the Hooded Man. Yes, I remember that one.
Hey, Eric. By the way, I just got the Fock Bobs in the mail.
Oh, you got them at last.
Yeah.
You just come through now.
Yeah.
I'm pleased you got them. I was a bit worried because I used old stamps.
I see that. I saw that.
They're no longer valid. So
and then your dad's book.
Yes. Well,
I look forward to this.
That's a small book, which is the precursor to the 700-page or 800-page jobby. So I'm glad you got them. That's fantastic. Now, Hatchy says you can carry a bow legally strung. Just keep your arrows under wraps. All legal.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Can I respond to a comment from Exo? He says, "No, Paul, you've made that up. I wonder which bit he thinks I made up. The bit about the guy grabbing the arrows out of the air. Do you think it was that? Do you think I made that up? Because I certainly didn't make up the bit about the." Anyway, I didn't make it up. Nothing that I said was made up. You need to look up a guy called Lars Anderson and watch what he does with a bow and arrow. It's astonishing.
Really?
It's absolutely breathtaking. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I bet
there's a video right now on YouTube, 5.5 minutes, talking about ancient medieval archery skills that blow your mind. Yeah, they never had a quill on their back. That's ludicrous. Whether you see all the arrows in the arrow carrier, is it the quill? And it's strapped across their back. Useless. As they're running along, all the arrows jump out the quill. They're all over the floor. They all carry them at the side, and most of the arrows they just carried in a clutch in their hand all the time, 5 or 6 arrows ready to go. You ought to see what he can do with a bow and arrow. It's freaky. It's absolutely amazing.
Lars, Lars, is it Anderson?
Yes. I'll tell you what, look, I've got I'll stick the URL in here. Let me just copy this. And you just go, a new level of archery 10 years ago. I saw this 10 years ago. You see, I don't make stuff.
Wow.
I know.
And
I know my stuff. I'm telling you.
Has put links here. Oh, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
That will have gone out to everybody, though. That will have just gone out to us.
No, it's gone out to us, yes.
Yeah.
But Ivancourt has put one here. Umarex. Yes.
QUIVR, quiver with a U. Exo. Sorry, Eric, I'm talking over you. Yeah, it's quiver.
Quiver. Now, there's an interesting one. Exo says, "Oh, hang on, we got another one from Ivancourt here. We got here upgradable to Exo, and it's got own defense and whatever." Exo says 0.22 or 0.77 are the UK air pistol size pellets, I think. And
that's right.
Those are standard. We have them here too.
Really?
Yeah, those are the same size we have them. We have in America.
Have you seen those replicas they've got though? They're air guns, and you get a Beretta, you can get all you get a Colt, and you look at it and you think it's an actual Colt, but it isn't. It's an air gun. They use these little CO2.
Yeah, what you call an air gun in America, we call a pellet gun, and the catapult we call that a slingshot.
Yeah.
The Germans must call it slingshot because there's a slingshot channel on YouTube. You must go on that for a laugh. He's let me show you its features. That's what he says, but he actually invented a what do you call it? A crossbow, which is automatic. So you can fire several arrows off at the time. It goes bang, crash, bang, like this.
Yeah, I've seen that guy.
Yeah. And he said, for the zombie apocalypse. Well, we would but now the thing is, what I mean, who is this invisible? Who's this invisible, Chris? You keep talking to. Well, actually, it's Paul English is on, and Patrick is on as well. So they're in the background, and Patrick's got his microphone muted because he's working hard.
No, I'm at home now.
Oh, you're at home.
He's actually, Patrick's actually practicing his archery skills.
That's right.
It could be.
It's 100%.
I've got my compound bow within reach here, and a couple of the mini crossbows.
Now, this is 100% true, Hachi. Our Constitution, the English Constitution, says we have the right to bear arms against tyranny. That is 100% true.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, even if it didn't say that, the moral, natural laws of the universe under self-defense would state that no one has got the right to cause harm and injury to anybody else. Therefore, all of these people in high places are acting out of harmony with universal laws, so they should be stopped in their tracks, and that should have happened centuries ago. But here we are, still putting up with their complete BS and doing absolutely nothing about it, apart from maybe a few protests down Oxford Street and a few petitions. These guys should have been hung.
The fact is, it's the slaves appealing to the slave owners, because the slave owners, and again, plug. If you go to Occult Academy on Telegram, or you go to my Telegram group, which is Fulcrum Hall, I've written quite extensively about why the so-called truth movement is rubbish, doesn't do anything, and I call it spoilt kid syndrome, because spoilt kid syndrome, what it is, they're looking for a parent to guide them. That's all they're looking for. Not prepared to take responsibility themselves. That's why they go marching along in London. Please, sir, can I have a little bit of? Don't want this digital ID. Well, it should be okay. We're not going to have digital ID. Don't give a damn what the government, they're the mob, is doing. We're not going to have it. Full stop. End of. We're going to start our own circle. We're going to provide our own food and do this and do that. That's the thing, and have the gold back as a currency. And I'm very keen on that as well. I think it's a bloody good idea, the gold back. Have you ever heard of it, Steve?
Yeah, I think you gave mention to it a few weeks ago. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, before any currencies decided upon, I don't even think we're in a position to realise who it is we're up against yet. Personally, I don't think there's enough people in the truth movement in general fully appreciate the enemy situation that we're up against. And as I've said, and as I'll say on the Occult Academy, we are morally well within our rights as of within the last 5 years to have had violent revolution. And I'll say that again, violent revolution, perpetrators of what's been going on. And if we're still facing further tyranny, which we are 100%, because if we know our enemy, we'll know the situation that we're being faced with, then we are morally well within our responsibility to do everything in our power to aggressively deter the violent aggression that we're being faced with.
Peacefully, I must sort of add that we don't want violence. We want to do things in a peaceful way, but unfortunately, we're up against psychopaths.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely second that. I would definitely ask for peaceful resolution. I'll say that word again, resolution.
Well, that's right, but never trust them. But
what I will say to that, the caveat is, well, I'm sorry, but if the peaceful resolution doesn't work, then that doesn't mean you just give up and go on a protest and do nothing apart from sign a few stupid petitions. That's absolute. I'll be honest, if people are still doing that, it's because they've lost all sense of the self-defense principle.
Well, I heard today someone put a comment on my Telegram, and they said, I think it was, ignore government out of existence. Just ignore them out of existence. So they have no power, because the power, we're giving them power. That's the problem. And they rely upon us for their power. If we withdraw that power, they're a waste of space.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that entirely, but the only way that's going to happen is there needs to be mass education as to the reasons why, and that falls under morality. And again, this is what the Occult Academy is about. It's about teaching natural law and morality. Because the fundamental problems that we're facing with, I mean, some people say, well, it's financial, it's political, it's this and it's that. Well, no, it's fundamentally at the causal factor level, the root cause, right at the bottom. What is the problem? Well, the problem lies with morality. And that's not just the perpetrators of evil deeds. That is the people of society who tolerate it, fund it, support it, or just don't complain about it.
That's right. Sorry,
I think there's loads to it. The more I keep thinking, I think there's a lot to it. I think I don't disagree with anything you've said. What I was thinking of is if we go back before the Enlightenment, right, the 1500s, before all this stuff happened, and you think of physical life, say in England in the 1400s or the 1500s, right? It's tough, physically very, very tough. As men, most of us wouldn't be alive if we were in that period. I don't think most people got past the age of about 45. You were doing pretty well. If you were privileged and a lord and you'd had a lot of slaves, you might make 70 or 80. There are some rare instances of these very intelligent people who've been able to achieve really good lifespans back then. But the vast majority of us were having such a physical, challenging time. You're working in fields, you're strong. You've got a very basic sort of proposition in life. You've got to make the farm work, otherwise your family's starving. It's very, very basic and direct. So the willingness for people to fight for things then would be much higher. It would strike me. First of all, you'd be looking at one another going, I'm going to be dead in 6 years anyway, so fuck it, right? You would. You just would. You go, I'm not standing for this. Because I'm only going to be standing for another 6 or 7 years anyway, because all my mates keep dropping dead at 45. I don't see how I'm going to escape it. So there'd be a willingness to do that. In other words, you wouldn't be losing much because you didn't have much to start off with. What we've got a situation now is that because of technology and the provision of all this comfort and convenience, which we like, which we've targeted, which we've wanted, and why we're living a lot longer, even though we're moaning like mad about it, because the quality of it, there's something seriously missing. I believe that this is is to do with this. It's the same problem that Russia encountered during the Russian Revolution, that complete disconnection from God. I don't mean to make your toes curl, but you need to read Solzhenitsyn on this because it's important, I think. And so we've got a lot more to lose in people's heads. I think in people's heads, they think they've got a lot more to lose. They've got a comfortable life. And they go, okay, I know that things are bad. They can see it's getting worse. They're not happy. At least we know that people are unhappy, or at least we get the sense that they are. But until the pain of the current situation exceeds what they anticipate to be the pain of a fight, they're not going to do it. It'll go on and on. I'm the same. It's just completely normal. This is how human beings react. They just go, yeah, you're right. It's terrible. These people in charge are foul. I dislike them intensely. But if we kick off and something changes, because what I think it's basically, we want to be left alone. Will you stop pestering and interfering? Just leave us alone, right? And of course, they can't leave us alone because as parasites, they draw their energy from interfering in your life, don't they? They go, well, you need me to sort out this, you see, and you need this group to sort that out. We know better. You see, we all went to university and we know all this kind of stuff. And people have been blagged with this nonsense for hundreds of years now. And it's really wearing thin, it's wearing very thin. And so that's the sort of situation that we're in. We're stuck because the minute we go to that other level, I suspect, what we all realize is that our lives will never be the same again. We're going to kill off all the good person that you are up to the age of whatever it is, 50 or 60 or whatever. The minute if it turns and goes in this direction that it appears they want to push it to, and we go to a different attitude, we go, right, enough. This is it. Enough. You're taking everything I've got, right? I didn't do you any harm. I'm prepared. I'm going to kick off, and I guess I'll die for it. As soon as we do that, we sort of kill off our old self. Do you know what I mean? There's something about your old self that you go, I don't want to sort of end my life in a violent situation, kicking shit out of people, but they absolutely deserve it because they've been just preying on us and all this kind of stuff. It's a massive decision for people to make. And I think the situations in the past that would make it easier to make, i.e., look, your life is physically so onerous and tough and miserable, and you're getting whipped by this guy and beaten up, and let's just, come on, lads, let's have a peasants' revolt. This is what Tyler did. You're just taxing us to death. Stuff you. Let's go. The women pick up bow and arrows. This is 1380 odd, and they just start killing tax collectors because it's actually better than another day living under that stuff. That's what triggers it. Now, our lives are still pretty good. They're not really, are they? The substance of them, the sort of heart of them, the spiritual aspect of our life sucks. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's what people are yearning for. And I think, Solzhenitsyn, when he talked about the Russians, and the fact that they got turned over, and it's a very relevant one for us to look at. I think it's so relevant because, that's the first major organized, technically advanced slaughter of a people under communism. We've got the French Revolution, but they didn't have all the gear in place to do it. The French Revolution's sick on a different level. But the Russian one, they've got all the it's a complete administrative machine that wiped out 60, 70 million white Christian Russians because it's barely talked about in the West. But that's what he did. Solzhenitsyn talks about, there's bits, he said, how we burned, well, there's a thing, I was reading it only the other day. You might have heard this one. He said, how we burned around the campfires, we would talk and say, if only, this is when they were sending out all their hit squads, the NKVD and everything in the 20s and everything. He said, if only we'd have realized what was going on. And when these guys came out, they came out knowing that they might not see their wife at night because in the hallways, we would be there with pipe irons, clubs, anything we'd got because we would know that that was the better option because most of us were going to get killed anyway. You would have stopped it. And he said, but we didn't know. And I think it's there's a gap in not knowing. You don't want to take a sort of what appears to most people to be an insane risk to lose so much. I don't know really what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that it appears
you're spot
if
on
we
there,
we want it to get worse so we can change it. I don't want it to get worse, but I expect it will. It seems to be getting worse, so it might be that we're completely out in control of it. It's like a tidal wave of insanity,
Carry on, Patrick.
I'd like to read something from The Art of War by Sun Tzu. You might find this good just as a refresher. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Victory lies in the knowledge of these 5 points. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, You need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle.
Spot on.
I'll leave it there.
That's brilliant. I mean, Nathan's come up with a beauty here. He says it's all quite simple, really. People just don't want to take accountability for their own actions, which goes back to what I was saying. We've got communists, I believe, have got spoilt kid syndrome because they are child minds in adults. They got adults with child minds, rather, because most of them are all spoilt up to the eyebrows when they were kids. I mean, I imagine Keir Starmer was a spoilt kid. I don't want that. They're horrible little bastards. And they think the world, when you're a child, you think the world is very simple. Oh, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? We all go through that stage. And that is why you've got so much bureaucracy, and they believe they can tell farmers how to farm and things like that. These people are screwball. But the trouble is, you've got spoilt kid syndrome in government that's ruining us, and you've got spoilt kid syndrome in fake truth movements. So what you'll have is the march on London will be spoilt kid syndromes, not all, I'm not saying they're all, marching along, saying, please, sir, I don't want your digital ID, whilst the other spoilt kids are looking down at them. So it's rather ironic. We've got like, in a weird sort of way, looking at like, because one must feed off the other. That's it. And I'll put that in this article that I wrote, not quite in that direction because I can't remember what I wrote. But the fact of the matter is, we've got to understand why people are not doing anything. And I'm not saying all the truth movement is like that. No way.
I think the main pivot points, I think, Eric, are that there's no, in the areas where there should be intellectual courage, I'm just using intellectual, i.e. of the mind, there isn't any. The most powerful force we're dealing with is the media 24/7. I think it's more powerful than the government, right? In the sense that it's conditioning people continually with an attitude for the next 24 hours, and it's maintained. And the people that marshal the typewriters, that do all these things, they're gutless. They've fallen in with the agreement, with the story that has been peddled continually since 1945, and even longer than that, about government's going to sort this out, this continual story that everybody's heard their entire life. Nigel Farage is going to sort it out now, is he?
That's it. Again, spoilt kid syndrome, because they're looking for a parent. That is the problem.
Yeah, but maybe
they're
we all
still
are.
looking
It's
for a
part
parent.
of all of us.
Yes.
It's a part of every single one of us is saying, look, can somebody else sort this out? And then you realize that no one's going to do that. Then you start talking to people, and I suspect people like us, well, I do, I get quite frustrated because there doesn't seem to be a spark of concern at all about the outcome of things. And people then reveal themselves to you. Most people are still focused on taking holidays and having a nice time. And if I don't pay attention to this, it's all going to blow over and go away. And they aren't thinking about the welfare of their children, who might be in their 20s or 30s at this stage, or their grandchildren, or the probability that most people are not going to see any grandchildren at all, or certainly only a very small percentage are, if things are left to carry on the way that they're going to carry on. So, I mean, there aren't any real strong voices out there, and there's probably a very good reason for it. And we're no more cowardly or useless than the Russians were. The Russians are not a weak people. And when you read Solzhenitsyn, they're not weak people, they're extremely tough people. And there's loads of things that happened during that so-called revolution, which we don't know. Massive peasant revolts where they fought like mad for like 2 years and just got machine gunned down. They fought with whatever they'd got. This is what the position that they were put in, right? And you're going, oh, well, they just rolled over. They didn't roll over at all. It was a systematic, pre-planned, organized slaughter based by liberals, the diseased form of liberalism that's come in the 20th century. Anything to do with socialism or any of these things, they all lead ultimately to ruthless, tyrannical communism, because that's the only place they can end up. That's where they're starting off. And the disease is in the hearts and minds of so many of our people. I saw a comment today. you just, and the responses on X, the responses were absolutely brilliant. This woman had put a thing up saying, no to racism, yes to refugees. Right. This woman in England had put this up on this post, and the responses were just brilliant. They basically say, you are the problem. And it is. Anybody that's, whenever they are appealing for equality and fairness and all this other stuff, it's the most childish and dangerous thing. It's so dangerous because they're going, well, we'll just acquiesce and we'll acquiesce. And if we give them this and if we give them that, it'll all blow over. And we're looking at this. This has been going on for decades, going, this clearly doesn't work. Why is it that these people can't see that? Why is it that we can see it? And so many people cannot see that some male discipline is absolutely required to get this thing sorted out. You can't let people just do what the hell they want to bloody do. It's not even about freedom, because the whole thing is now governed by the letter of the law and all this other crap.
Morally, Paul, you have practical reason. That's the basis of morality. And whoever's the most reasonable person, that's who we go with. It's the lesser of two evils most of the time. And that's how you have to engage politics. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You're just not going to have any cohesion. That's what we need. We need cohesion. And
well, I think we need a moral people to do that.
That's right.
The woman with you.
The woman that gave that proposal. What did she say? No to no to what?
No to racism. Oh yeah. Oh, she wanted to deport all the racists. Oh, she'd written a comment that she'd been at the airport recently, and everything was okay, except from one white guy who had a T-shirt on with a Union Jack on. And he was obnoxious because he was standing up for his own people, symbolically and figuratively. She found this repellent and threatening and all this kind of stuff. And I can't.
And the alternative then
has gone seriously wrong with people because they will not stand up for themselves. We are the only race, maybe I'm wrong, but we appear to be the only race that will not, I'm not talking about people in this conversation, will not stand up for what is right anymore. And we used to. And a massive number's been done on us. And I think here in Britain and also in Canada, more so than America, these have been used as social engineering spaces to breed a kind of bland stupidity, a sort of will, a people without a will. We still exist, but they're demonized. Anybody who just comes out with common sense and says, look, this is not working. We don't hate these people, but them being here, as you can see, it's getting worse. And if you look at history, you will see that all it ever does is get worse. So as a responsible people here, we're going to have to exercise some restraint here and control this situation if you want to have any children. If you want your children to have a happy life. But they're addicted to this this ideology. They've got this ideology running around, and it's they don't see real human beings. Like this woman who wrote this thing, she doesn't see real human beings ever. She doesn't see the idea that these girls in Rotherham have got raped and all that. She's never going to see that. She literally,
what the media pumps out. That's what the media pumps out day in and day out.
I know. Right. She'll never ever see it. What do you? And this is the whole thing. So they are
just thinking as a child.
It's the Bezmenov situation. It's horrific. It's I think this is the thing that we're facing that no previous generations have faced. It's this psychological destruction of people. I couldn't even imagine anybody in the 60s, like my parents' generation, coming out with any of this crap at all. No one spoke or thought in these nonsensical, idiotic, self-destructive terms about their own people. Oh, our people are standing up for the Union Jack. This has really got me scared. What are you on about? Leave then. Bugger off. This is our home.
People are more spoiled. They're spoiled here, like Eric's saying. Today, you don't have to think because you've got the television or radio or internet. So you're just pumped with all of these slogans all day and all night, and you begin to think like that because you're disciplined to think about it like that. You have a habit built up.
Patrick. You're spot on, because you think before the Industrial Revolution, children, they got married at a very young age, first of all, because they didn't live very long. And children would have been working in the fields at a very early age. And that went on until into the Victorian times. You know, you had little match girls that were about 6 years old selling matches barefoot in the streets and things like that. Children grew up very, very quickly. But when you look at the birth of communism, which was about the 1840s, Karl Marx was a spoilt kid because the children weren't spoilt. Well, there might have been a few that were very, very rich before the Industrial Revolution, but generally, as people became richer, you got more. And I'm not against people getting richer, I'm all for it. But you got more and more spoilt kids whose part of their brain, remained as a child. I mean, for example, you look at children in a playground. If there's one child that has a brief mental illness, now mental illness is similar to, not all the same, but there's some mental illnesses which are like physical illnesses that people get over. There could be a breakdown, something like that. The other children will be like wasps in a wasp nest. Boom, they'll go and they'll attack that child because children can only see what's in front of them. They don't have wisdom. That's the thing. Now you look at these people in these truth groups, not all, again, there's some very, very intelligent people, but the ones that are looking for a leader, if anybody is just a bit out of order in that group, they'll pounce on them like wasps at a wasp nest because they can't see in front of them. And this is the thing. You say anything against Farage or anything like that, they'll almost beat your head in almost because they're worshipping him. They're looking for a father figure because they're not prepared to take responsibility for themselves. Whilst they go marching down London, fine. You're going to say, sorry, Steve, carry on.
Well, just as you mentioned, the truth group as a whole. I mean, I know you're on my channel. If anyone's on my channel and listening, and thank you very much for being a member of the Occult Academy, and B, some of the posts I put on are very, very strong indeed. And I put up one on recently, in fact today, explaining that, and this isn't the first time, incidentally, and this isn't a means of showing disrespect to anybody, but in general, and I'm putting my military cap on here because I worked in the military at a high level. I understand military strategy, and this is one thing I find quite almost hard to understand. Members of the truth community will openly rubbish anything I've got to say about military strategy, bearing in mind I've worked in this at a professional level for best part of 30 years, and I'm getting told I'm incorrect or I don't know what I'm talking about by people who have been to a hippie festival and have probably never.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to chime in there.
No, it's not a problem. So what I'm going to... Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, please carry on. I chimed in. I was very rude. Please carry on.
No worries. I was just going to say that I think the word to describe that is hubris and arrogance. I mean, I'm not a big-headed person. I'm not interested in being a leader of the truth community and waging war on something, but I am passionate about showing people that they deserve to follow their God-given rights and live free without interference under natural law, because that's your God-given rights. If nobody wants that, that's fair enough. That's your prerogative. But if you do want to stop facing the harassment and tyranny and enslavement of a criminal government, and by the way, when I was still serving for this criminal government, I declared myself an anarchist because I realized I was working for criminals. This was while I was still serving, incidentally, and that was quite a number of years ago. So this isn't anything new. This is the freedom movement. The word I've used to describe them, unfortunately, is combat ineffective. That means we are in a position of war, World War III, let's just call it for what it is. But many people in the truth movement do not yet recognize this and are nowhere near being in a position to do anything about it. And one of the reasons for this is simply they lack understanding and they lack the passion needed to generate any strategic level effects.
That's right. I mean, instead of prancing around in London, surely that time would be better spent saying, right, how are we going to grow vegetables? How are we going to protect ourselves against the, because I call government the mob. To me, there's no difference between them and the mafia, although the mafia will probably do slightly more for the community than the government does. And so how are we going to protect ourselves peacefully and lawfully so that when the mob's gang boys turn up to arrest you or something like that, we can have Minutemen that turn up and they're not violent and they just tell the police, you're not welcome here, go away. Politely, respectfully.
Can I just cut in on that, Eric?
Certainly.
I mean, I've got absolutely no problem with doing things peacefully, but I'm not going to use that word, because if I use the word peacefully, that means we've already limited ourselves to a mindset. And I fully agree with you in principle that peaceful resolution is the ultimate answer, and everybody, I'm sure, would strive for that. But I'm not going to mention that word again, simply because if anyone thinks this is going to be a peaceful resolution, then A, we don't realize who we're up against, and B, we're limiting ourselves in capacity. So, as far as I'm concerned, we are more than 100% morally justified as of that to have engaged in aggressive assertion of our rights. Now, many people have used the word combat ineffective simply because many people in the truth movement do not yet understand their rights, so they're not in a position to assert their rights. So until we have got sufficient information, cheers.
Spot on,
thanks, Exo. Until we are in a position to understand certain dynamics, certain strategy, then we are not in a position to do anything about it. So I'm gonna say this to the entire truth movement, and quite honestly, I could not care less what people think about it. I'm just going to say it for what it is. Protests and petitions are bunk. I'm not going to say anyone going on them, you're wasting your time, but you are. So I'm not saying they've got no effect, because it's great for a knees up and getting together with mates and to have a sense of enthusiasm. There is some good things come out of that. So I'm not knocking this entirely. What I'm saying is, if anyone is of the expectations that any of these will work as a strategic effect, then they are deluded. Nothing's going to change some of the things that are coming out of government, simply because we, and I'm saying this collectively, until we're in a position to be able to assert more power over the situation, we are slaves. They are our masters. Our masters are not going to back down because the slaves are unhappy. If we don't think we're slaves, we've already lost. We are slaves, and until we realize our position and start asserting ourselves to not becoming slaves in our minds, then we will stay slaves forevermore.
Spot on.
That situation you described, Steve, of informing people because of your military background and them rejecting it, is that not always the case? Not necessarily even with military stuff. The truths that we are attracted to talk about here in this space and other related spaces, nearly all of them are unpleasant, because they're the truths that are not spoken because they're unpleasant.
Yeah.
And so there's something inside of the people here that listen to this and participate in this, that you've got or acquired or built some kind of gene inside you that makes you almost like a freak in comparison to everybody else, because you're capable of tolerating discomfort in the face of these unpleasant truths, or you almost like gain an appetite for it. I mean, I feel I have many, many years ago, once I got bit by something and I didn't like it, I realized how many other things that could cause that same level of discomfort. And I think on a very simple level, when people get cocky and act with hubris and dismiss what you're saying, it doesn't, you or any of us, it's because you're introducing them to the world of discomfort. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing. You're saying,
right.
hi, I actually am your friend, but I'm here to tell you some things that you're not aware of. And as I say them, and if you take them on board, your life's not going to be the same and you'll be more uncomfortable and there's no going back. And they're brushing you off for anybody in that situation. It's kind of a subconscious reaction, I think, on their part. They know it's coming. They're not.
Yeah.
There's a bit of them that's always awake. And what they're doing is they're committing this great sin. They are ignoring it. The greatest sin of them all is ignorance, and they're ignoring their own instincts, and they don't want anybody else to bring it up at the meeting because it's going to spark this ripple of awareness or aliveness or energy that's needed. And they know that if it starts to go in that direction, it's going to get more uncomfortable. Yes, it is. That's the invite. Hi, come out for a meeting with us. We're going to make you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then we want you to come again next week, and it's going to be even worse. Want to come? Do you want to come?
This
That's
is
really
what
that's the invite.
thing. Some people are happy in depression, but Steve, I can understand how frustrating sometimes it can be, because my dad was, he's obviously in the war, and he had people telling him what he went through, who'd seen it on the Hollywood films, but had never been there, and they believed the propaganda and talked down to him, and he was actually there, and this is the thing. How frustrating it was for him, and you're probably finding it frustrating with people telling you about, what it's like in the military, and they've never been in the bleeding military. This is the thing, and and again, this is spoiled kid syndrome, the child mind that thinks they know. And I think that what I was going to say is, instead of going marching around in London and prancing around, which is really basically a data gaining exercise for the social engineers, isn't it better that we plan? As I say, there's a hell of a lot of planning to be done, and a hell of a lot of how we are going to just ignore the mob out of existence. How are we going to do it? And there are ways we can do it. And the thing is, look what's happening, first of all, up in Thetford. They've taken over the council, the people. They've said, look, you're not fit to run it. Get out. That's the last I heard. I don't know how successful it is, or whether it's bullshit. I don't know. But this is what I was told. If you could please prove me wrong if I'm wrong, I don't know. But there's lots of things where people are just saying, we've had enough. We just ignore them out of existence. I mean, who cares what Keir Starmer's going to do? Who cares? Because, he needs, shall we? You can't go up to number 10 now. You've got fence outside. Why can't you go up to number 10? You used to be able to stand and talk to the policeman outside when I was a kid. They can't do that anymore. And so really, I think it's a bit like that film. What was that film? Oh, what was it now? About a television producer that goes out of his mind. And we've had
another one you mean. Yeah.
I
know what you mean. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Patrick.
Might be Network or something.
That's the one. Yeah, it's Peter Finch.
Mm.
Shout from the windows. We've had enough. We can't stand anymore. And we should be like that. But the trouble is, whilst people sit on their big fat arse watching BBC television, they're not going to do anything. That's the big trouble. Scoffing.
I think there are, Eric, I think there are more people doing that metaphorical shouting out of the window internally than at any other point in my lifetime. So there are good signs, but you have to work hard to see them, but they are there. And I think for me personally, it's doing some really basic actions. I started talking to my neighbors the other day about getting connected with a local farm. I spoke to 2 of them. I need to speak to more. I've got 80 houses here on my list, and I know a lot of them, and I'm going to bump into them. I was even thinking what I actually need, like when people do a Vox Pop and they ask you 3 questions, I need something like just to engage people in a completely disarming, offhand way. Like, something along the lines of, do you think the country is being managed well? No. Okay. Do you think a political party can solve our problems? Yes or no? Just something to get. Do you think it's possible for people in local communities to actually safeguard their interests by working with one another and that this would be a good way forward for people all over the country. If people start to go, yes, I'm on for that, it's something to creep into people without coming at them saying we're all doomed, because it's not going to be fair. We are if they don't wake up. But to find some kind of a process to just through a series of very simple, easy, non-threatening questions to just tap in and find out. I need to find out what I've got on my doorstep. I mean, the main problem we have is that still many people's lives are working quite well. They're not really. We know that they're not really working well. We know that the foundation's absolutely rotted out. But on the surface of it, they're still going on holidays and doing things, and they're continuing their life pattern because that's part of the protection, which means they don't have to listen to people like us. Oh, sorry,
Paul. The sound's breaking up.
Well, emotionally, I'm breaking up. I was emotionally breaking up, was I? I was coming apart the seams. Is that what you're saying, Eric?
It sounded a bit like Billy Dainty. I'm
sorry about that. Blasted internet. But yeah, I just keep thinking simple ways, like charming ways to engage people locally, to find the ones that might have a bit more than just what you're looking for. I've mentioned this before. What I'm looking for is, what could we do about it? Or someone says, what can I do? Is there something I could do? And I'm going, ooh, that's what they've got to be out there. I bet there's loads of those people out there. It's just that no one's approaching them. They don't want to approach anybody else because they're probably kind of worried, or maybe they lack personal confidence, talking to strangers. I don't. Basically, I'll talk to anybody. Many of us here are like that.
I tell you what, one thing that people can do is, no bother, sorry to kind of break into your chat there, but you mentioned, what can people do? One thing that some people do, especially people in the truth and freedom movement, one thing that we do need to do is stop thinking defensively. Because I find a lot, and I think the truth movement, this is one thing we're very good at, is thinking defensively. So a lot of people talk about growing vegetables or the new type of currency that we can use, or we can have little communities doing this, or we can grow vegetables. These are all very good in themselves, but what they're not very good at, in fact, what they're completely useless at, is being assertive in terms of offensive action. You can't win a war by being defensive. All you can do is retreat, withdraw, and ultimately become defeated. When the time is right, we will be defeated because we are defensive in our thoughts and in our actions. We have to start thinking offensively. And that doesn't mean we have to then procure violent effects upon people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being offensive in our assertion towards authority such as government, policy such as the police, and all the other things that go with it. So, for example, I have completely disregard the entire police service in the UK. The police force in the UK and beyond, I will assert that the whole Western world policing is broken, corrupt, dishonest, and needs to be abolished. Now, that might sound a little bit crazy to a lot of people because most people don't understand their enemy to a high enough degree. And this is one of the biggest problems we've got. We can't be aggressive or offensive if we don't have information to act upon. And this is one thing that we are massively lacking, is suitable information to come to conclusions. So I've already concluded, when I say already, prior to 2020, March the 22nd, when then this was launched, the lockdown 1, I was ready, armed with a toothpick, to conduct offensive actions against an aggressor. That aggressor in the UK is the UK government. In other countries, it is their government. If we haven't come to that conclusion yet, 5 years later, when we're being enforced with further tyranny, which is inhuman and evil, and this isn't just my words, this is legitimate. This is, I can prove and provably demonstrate that this is tyrannical and evil. If we can't come to that conclusion, then we are already lost. We need to start educating ourselves massively into the dynamics of who our aggressors are and why we should not be tolerating it. One of the reasons for that is simply we just do not understand our fundamental God-given rights. We do not understand the laws of nature, natural law, and we do not understand our enemy and what they are standing for and what they aim to achieve. I mean, I know a lot of people in the truth and freedom movement, for example, will realize and understand fully what Agenda 30 is, for example. Now, Agenda 30 is an act of war. That is an act of war against the civilian population. We are the losers in a war. It's a cognitive war, it's an information war, it's a psychological war, and it's an information war. It's only a matter of time before that war turns kinetic and further things such as genocide start to become commonplace. But these will not become people standing in digging a trench and being shot as they hover over it. This will be legitimized in the legal system through acts of lawfare. This is still acts of war, acts of genocide. This is still going to escalate until the point of no return. And it'll not be a million miles before we're already at that point, no turning back, point of no return. You can go in all the episodes of history where there's been tyrannies and hostilities conducted by totalitarian leaning governments. You can pick any nation on earth if you want to find that out and see how did this transpire? Did it start? Did the enemies of the state start machine gunning citizens down on day one? No, they left it several years and it all escalated and it got written and legitimized into acts of law, just as it is in the UK and beyond. So we need to fully understand some of these dynamics.
Yep, spot on.
Absolutely
on. True.
Absolutely spot on. And this defeatist attitude as well that we've got. Because you can't win a war, as you quite rightly said, with this defeatist attitude. And you go along to a lot of these groups, and it's all doom and gloom all the time. Oh, hang on, I'll send you a link to such and such a person says they're going to, I don't know, spread dysentery everywhere. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. And it's just doom and gloom. And I think people begin to enjoy depression. Doom and gloom, instead of saying, right, we're going to do this, and now that will be a positive thing, a step in the right direction, and they ain't going to stop us doing it.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of things.
I think we're propagating ourselves into or lulling ourselves into a false understanding of the situation. I must admit, I find, and again, I'm not slagging the truth movement off here. I count the truth movement as the side I'm on. So I want the truth movement to win. So I've got a vested interest. When I'm sounding harsh and sounding quite, negative in a sense towards things that the truth movement are doing, it's simply because I don't want my kids and my grandson to grow into a world where we have fundamentally lost because we can't grasp and face some difficult situations and come to conclusions because we're too weak-willed. And that's essentially what we're doing. As I said, I was ready on day one of hostilities when that's happened, armed with a toothpick, and I would be ready by myself, I have to say, to engage in offensive action because I fully understood the situation that was transpiring. I fully understood prior to that date what the government stood for, which is slavery. The word government means mind control. And what they've done is progressively since 1947 applied cognitive warfare upon every man, woman, and child in the nation. In the whole Western Hemisphere, the government are just the public face in front of a much more sinister group of individuals who want us to become enslaved into a totalitarian regime. Sadly, there's too many of us in their system of utopia, so some of us are surplus to requirements. I don't need to spell any of that out. What we do need to do is we need to be realistic in our understanding and realize that there's one group of people who are at war with another group of people, but they're just not telling us on the TV. That's because we are fundamentally under severe mind control. There's some people in this group of innocents, let's just say, the truth and freedom movement, who have got some grasp of the situation. What they haven't got is a full grasp of the situation. So we are entering into a battle space where we fundamentally do not understand the situation in sufficient capacity. This is why Nathan and I've written a book that you've added to. Many of the answers we need to know are in that book. Many of the answers can be found on the Occult Academy, and in fact, I would almost say within 3 weeks, I had enough information on there. Thanks for that, Eric. Many of the answers are in there, and sadly, because of the title, there's too many people think that it doesn't apply to them because it's, I don't know, I think some people think we're having a pop at the truth movement. No, we'll give you outlined what we need to know in order to prosper in this situation. And trust me, I've come from the winning team after spending 30 years working for government at a high level to come and tell other people what's going on and how we can defeat a common enemy. Sadly, there's too many people dancing around, signing petitions and thinking we've got it sussed because we're siding on the right side of history. No, the enemy combatants we're up against don't actually care what our sentiments are. They don't care how flowery we can appear at festivals and how many songs we can sing at protests. They simply could not give a crap. And this is the reason that we are being violently dominated, because we are dancing into our own oblivion without enough of a care.
Spot on. I'll give you a clap there. That's excellent, because really, I think we, all right, it might sound as if I'm having a pop at the truth movement. There's some really good people, there's some genuine people in the truth movement. And they're often up against a brick wall of apathy. Sort of, oh, well, what can you do? Well, oh, we're going on a march. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, yeah. And I blew a raspberry at the police officer. Hey, oh, give us a break. This is it. And as I've said before, what someone said earlier today, it was brilliant. Just ignore them out of existence.
I would agree with that in principle, but sadly, the people we're up against don't care if we ignore them. They don't care. We will lose if we don't do something against it. And I'll give an example of this. I mean, I'm not a violent person, despite my background and despite the fact that I've been holding things up that we can use to defend ourselves. But one thing I will stand for is the self-defense principle. The other thing I will stand for is the non-aggression principle. That's the only things I will stand for: non-aggression and self-defense. That's the only two laws that we fundamentally need to abide by. So, for example, the laws of the UK, I simply couldn't give a flying crap about. Not one of them. I couldn't give a crap about one single thing that's come out of Parliament. I couldn't care less about anything that the government have got to say, because A, they are slave masters, and B, I don't consider myself or desire to be a slave. So therefore, I will not listen to my slave masters for a second more. I will not entertain them in my life. Unfortunately, because of the dumbos who are fast asleep and haven't got a clue what's going on in the world, I'm massively outnumbered. The truth movement are massively outnumbered by this principle. So unless we start changing the quantity of people who understand the situation, we are doomed to failure. But that doesn't mean that we as a movement are powerless, because we are very powerful if we apply ourselves with the right mindset and the right information. So, for example, and I'm not saying this is what one thing we need to do, but this is just a consideration. We need to at least be prepared in principle to congregate in numbers whenever, for example, the police start to impose policy that is unsavory upon other people, members of our community. If the police are imposing tyranny, because that's what they're paid to do, it doesn't matter what they think they've got the right to do. If it's tyrannizing members of the public, then these people should be opposed. And just because they're in uniform and they carry a magic badge does not dismiss them from the laws of nature. We are not aligned yet to the laws of nature, which is why a group of individuals are managing to tyrannize us. So that's one thing we need to get straight. We need to work in harmony with nature and realize the fundamental dynamics of morality in order to come to these conclusions.
Yeah, you're right. And as I say, they like attracts like. They put out fear porn to us all the time. It's fear porn, fear porn, fear porn. And I mean, there's a chappie who smokes, who's on YouTube, who smokes. Well, I can tell you, it's Richard, isn't it? And Richard, Richard Bowles, and he smokes a pipe. And when he gets a pipe tobacco, there's fear porn on the tin, so he puts sticky labels over it so he doesn't see it. She said, because I don't want it to work on his subconscious. He enjoys smoking a pipe. Good for him. And this is the thing. Yeah. It's fear porn all the time. You know, oh, you're suffering from this, you're suffering from that, oh, this, that. And that's deliberate to wear you down.
Doctors are trained in that language. And they're unconscious that they're even delivering it. I've got a good friend who's had a few physical challenges. He's quite amazing with them. He's really amazing. I mean, he'll recount his conversations with them, and he instructs them very firmly and clearly to not talk like that when he's present. And he has to educate them about their communication skills, because they're basically sending out signals that the only solution is further drugs or this, that, and the other, and it's bunk. It's not like that.
That's right.
You have to take them in charge. But you see, I guess many of us are a result of the incomplete, slack-assed, stupefying so-called education that we received. And this is where it starts with the young. We're trained into a situation of subservience, literally by the fact that you've got to obey the teacher at the head of the room. And the ones that you had to really obey, you can't remember those, can you? Except they were a pain in the arse. But the teachers that you do remember are the ones that engaged you as a human being and allowed conversation to break out and to respect the students as you grew up. And that was tremendous. And I had a couple of teachers in English that were like that, and they were really enjoyable lessons. Not because of the content of them, but because of the context. That, you know, we can talk here. Let's just talk about things. We don't have to knuckle down to this stuff. By the way, on the education thing as well, I don't know if anybody's seen that little thing floating around about Finland.
Oh, yes. I saw that. Yes. That was brilliant.
Basically, they've got the best performing students because they don't give them any homework, and they only go to school for 20 hours a week, and that includes 5 hours of meals times. That's it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I like to go to school in free.
So they do 3 hours of lessons. They don't get any homework. Or homework lasts 8 minutes, and they're allowed to live their life, and they're involved in a conversational human development situation, and it's just way better. We don't need it. The thing is that the education systems is a hangover. If you look at it historically, all of these things, I mean, I know I'm going back, but I like to see this sort of domino line to see how we might have got to where we've got to. You've got this seizure of the commons in England, and all the peasants being turfed off the commons, right? Then them being driven into cities. Then the whole of the city type of personality developing, which is based on linguistic skullduggery and thriving, and then politicking with inside corporations. It breeds a certain personality type, people that are good at that sort of stuff, i.e. bullshitting others about their abilities. You know, we have the peak of that in terms of the actors called politicians. all of them are incompetents, not fit for purpose, and you won't put them in charge of a piss-up at a brewery. Literally, they couldn't do most of these things. And so you've taken the people from a natural state on the land, and then you put them into these classrooms, and then things go pear-shaped, and they get trained, and it's not stopped. The education system still carries on like there's an industrial revolution to supply cannon fodder into a corporate system which doesn't exist. I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm going to send little Johnny to university. Why? The mere fact that you would think of doing that indicates that you and Johnny together are too stupid to work out what's going on. That's not where you need to be going. If you're an intelligent person, you don't do that. Why would you do that? But it's because of the constraints that are laid in. So, you know, if you've got any children, just don't send them to school at all. They're bound to come out more intelligent than anybody that went.
Yes, I really
fill your house full of books.
There.
Yeah. Say to your children, question me about everything and make me wrong. I love it when I find out I'm stupid, and I want you to do it.
Yeah,
and that's it. But you see, grown-ups go, "Oh, I'm the grown-up and I know everything." And you're looking at grown-ups, you're going, "Really? You really believe that about yourself? Come on!" But they do. People get into positions, don't they? Go, "You've got to respect me." Why? Why? I tend to think that this respect thing is a naturally occurring event when you're in the presence of someone who's got integrity and is telling the truth. Even if you don't like that truth, even if you don't like their personality, you will respect them. It's a bit like in warfare in the past, when after the battle was over, they would respect the opposing general or whatever, or honor the troops of the other side. Those qualities of chivalry or an acknowledgement that people are trying to do their best, all that's gone. Most of that has disappeared out of the flavor of life, which is a deep part of our culture historically, a pursuit of chivalry, an old word, but it signifies an extremely powerful quality that
it does.
We all feel. We all feel
agree.
that, and we see that it's not around. You wouldn't call any politician chivalrous. That's one of the last words you would ever use.
Even the Zulus were chivalrous. They honoured their enemy. And they did at Rorke's Drift. Apparently, they actually honoured the men that survived Rorke's Drift, because they honoured them.
I have to
warriors.
say, Eric, though, when it comes to the politicians, I don't think we should be chivalrous to them. You can't provide honour to a dishonourable enemy. They're dishonourable.
I agree with you. Well, to me, they are, I guess I say, the mob. They are the mafia. I mean, is old Nigel going to do something? No, old Nigel isn't going to do anything, because just follow the money stream.
He's already had his meeting with the Bank of England. He had one about 3 weeks ago, didn't he? He's already had one of them. He's already going to the meetings because they're lining him up to drop him in. And when you get in there, Nigel, we don't want you to do anything that's going to upset our game. And then that's all we want.
That's it. Tommy Mossy agent come farting around. Follow the money trail. Costs lots of money to lay those things on, and it doesn't come from Scotch Mist. No, look what the agenda is for the people. Because are you going to put money into something without they're going to do something for you? No, you're not. I mean, are people paying these people to march and get big? No, you've got to get in politics or the head of anything. You've got to have connections, financial connections, and those financial connections have all got an agenda, and that agenda isn't for us. Full stop. That's it. You try telling people that, oh no, he's marvellous, Tommy. Oh yeah, oh and Nigel, he's going to, he's going to give us a penny extra with our income tax. Oh, isn't that marvellous?
So I mentioned the term earlier, combat ineffective, and sadly, despite the fact that there's many people in the truth movement who are highly knowledgeable and highly capable, the truth movement in general has become combat ineffective simply because we do not yet know enough. So therefore, when we do not know enough, we can't act on that and then do enough. So that renders us combat ineffective. That means we are up against a more superior, technically, knowledgeably, and physically more capable than we will ever be as a collective. Even though we consider ourselves, to use the expression, we are the 99%, this is massively inconceived nonsense. Despite the fact that we might have superior numbers, we are intellectually majorly disadvantaged. We may as well, we're not even 0.99% as superior as the people we're up against. That means we have to box clever. We have to fully understand our enemy before we can do anything about it. So, for example, and I'll put this in kind of layman's terms. If we had to storm a trench, say, trench warfare, we had to storm a trench, we wouldn't just, and you know, only a crazy person would, but generally a group of soldiers wouldn't just say, oh, the enemy position's over there, come on, let's grab our guns and let's go for it. They'd have to act upon intelligence. I certainly wouldn't want to jump in a trench full of 100 people with 5 blokes and expect to win that encounter. I would have to conduct some sort of analysis. In other words, I would need to know the enemy position, their strengths, their tactics, their weapons, their capabilities, their morale, their intentions. That's even before I developed some sort of strategy in order to overcome that position. And one thing I certainly wouldn't do, even if I had more firepower and more men, I wouldn't just attack from the front in full view. I'd have to use surprise. I'd have to use some sort of deception plan in order to develop a winning battle plan. This is what we need to do. This is what we're not doing. What we're doing, and again, I've mentioned protesting and petitioning. It's so obvious. We may as well just walk into a hail of machine gun fire, because that's what we're doing. But not only that, we don't understand our enemy. How do I know that? Well, because as members of the truth community, and I've used the term combat ineffective, still think that voting for Nigel Farage will change the circumstances. That means we do not understand our enemy at all, unless, of course, slavery is something that we desire as an outcome, because if you vote for any political party, you will always be at the receiving end of slavery. Your grandchildren will be slaves and their grandchildren will be slaves, simply because we don't understand the master-slave dynamics. We need to become sovereign in our minds. We need to be autonomous in our actions. The truth movement's not ready for that, because they're still following that imbecile Tommy, what's his face. Yeah. That means we're fundamentally under severe mind control, because we don't understand what he stands for and what the political system stands for. The political system wants us to remain slaves. If we remain slaves, we're always going to be faced with things like DigiID. We're going to be faced with further tyrannical measures. It's just going to get worse. I mean, 5 years ago, I hate to have to remind people, but 5 years ago, people forgot that they actively and successfully managed to, let's just say, eliminate a number of people off the face of the earth. How did they do that? Well, I think we understand that. It was these things. How did they do that? Because they managed to persuade us that it was a good idea. And why? And if we look at the causal factors of that, because we were slaves. We were slaves in our minds, because we don't understand enough in order to act upon a situation.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely spot on there. Because
we have to get sorry, just to add to that. Sorry to intrude on you, but until we understand things in our heads, we can't then progress with actions. It's cause and effect. We have to get the cause right. We have to know the causal factors and understand long before we can walk our way to the trench and do anything about it. It happens here. That's where the war starts in our heads.
You're right. I mean, you look at anything from World War II. My parents told me this. Everything was, we're going to win. There's no ifs and buts. We win. That's it. You know, not it's doom and gloom. No, we're going to win. Happy music. You think of the music we got now. It's all depressing. They stopped their comedy. They've done so much to wear us down deliberately, because these loony communists, these spoiled kids, they don't understand life. They don't understand the practicalities of life. They are mental people. They need help psychologically, I think. And this is the big problem. They just, and look, they're doing the same as what all the other communists have done. They're going for the farmers. Why? Because they know food is a marvelous weapon. You can control people with food. When they're starving, they'll do anything for that, to stop that hunger.
So I agree with you. There's loads of people loads of truthers realize that they're doing the same techniques that they've done in history, but they haven't then come to the conclusion. And this is why I say, when I say point to the head, it's not about the mentality. It's not about the willpower. It's about the understanding. We haven't yet come to the full understanding that we are being faced with hostilities by an enemy that we're still kissing their butts. That's what we're doing. We're still kissing our butts. We're still funding, believing in, and looking to them for answers. That stopped 5 years ago. That was an act of, they're absolutely broken 5 years ago. There's no coming back. It's either it's the fall of Rome, or you are going to be fed to the lions. The fall of Rome or fed to the lions. That's it. That's a clear distinction. This is what we need to know inside our own heads. Do we want to be eaten by lions, or are we going to accept that Rome has fallen?
I agree. This has been a fantastic evening. I can't believe that 3 hours has almost gone past. It seems like we've been on for about half an hour or something. And the information you put over tonight, Steve, has been fantastic. Can't thank you enough. And
yeah, very good stuff.
It
Great
was
show.
Absolutely excellent. And first class information that I haven't seen on any other YouTube video. And I'm not being conceited by saying that. I'm putting this over to Steve. It was thanks for Steve for putting that on. It's one of the best videos ever.
Thank you. Cheers.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. And thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Paul, for coming on as well. I'm just ready to hit the hay, as you'd say, Paul. And I hope you don't think I'm rude, but I was up very early this morning, and I'm actually putting posts in around my garden. So I've been a lot of physical work today, so it's quite hard, and it's been terrific. Now, Little Bird tells me there's a show on Thursday. Any special guests coming on, Paul?
There may be. I don't know. Frederick Blackburn may be with us, and there's somebody else I've got to chase up as well who may be with us. I don't know. I don't really mind whether we have guests or not, to be quite honest.
No,
I don't. I mean, I'm not against guests, but the conversation here is rich enough as it is, to be quite honest.
Well, I've really enjoyed tonight, and
I've enjoyed it a lot, actually.
When I go down to the shops, I'll be taking my pen with me. No, actually, it's a Fockham Wonder marker pen. Yes, that's what we should have. Fockham Wonder marker pens. If you get what I mean.
I just think finding if we can find things to keep doing. Not everybody's going to be ever going to be combat ready, Steve. I don't think the certain personality types just never ever going to get to that point of understanding. But there are personality types out there that will and understand it. And if there's a role for people to act in a more administrative way, but lend support to the thing, it's finding a role maybe for these people. That's, I can't sort of prefigure all that kind of stuff out, but I know there are certain personality types that have never ever been confrontational in their life, and they're never ever going to be. It's too late for that kind of thing. But there are other people that have got that fire still, no matter what their age is. There are people that are older than me that have got it. And it's where the fire is. And so the ones that have got the fire need to be together, and the other ones can bask in the warmth of that, or however you want to sort of draw it up, but they need to lend support to it. And it's finding this way of engaging with more and more people. And the more conversations like this,
I agree with it. 100%.
It's the least we can do. And I know we want to do more, and we'll hopefully keep finding ways to do more that are more effective, so that we see things coming about. But your points are really well made, Steve. It's absolutely an attitudinal thing about people getting crystal clear that we are on the chopping block and they need to get it. And it's deadly serious, literally deadly. Yeah. It's deadly serious.
But what about an objective? So we haven't got an objective. You see, in a war, the objective is to win that war. Because years ago, it was that lot over there coming, that lot over here. And if we don't kill that lot come over there, coming over the hill, we're going to be dead. So that was very simple, very, very, very simple. But we don't know who the enemy is nowadays because they're all sort of, it's all, you know. But, you know, we've got to have an
It's different. I think it's different, Eric, in the past, all these wars that we've talked about where we've responded and done things that in our perception we've done well at or whatever. Yeah. All of them have been at the behest of the government of the day, haven't they? All of them. Yes. Yeah. All of our fighting men and all of the energy of the nation has been drawn under their command and control for them to achieve their aims, whilst they sold the idea back to the British at the time. Oh, you're part of this big empire. Really? Why is my wife working down a pit naked then? Why are my kids starving? Can you answer that? It didn't actually translate, has barely ever translated into benefits that strengthen us as a people, because their number one priority is to retain control. And that's what it's been for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. That's their mentality. That's the story that they have been telling inside the heads of themselves and their children for thousands of years, and we're never, ever going to shake that. So I think we're faced with the challenge of redefining who we are as a people. And it's different. So we are going to literally have to individually self-govern ourselves, and we have to connect up with a story about ourselves, which is our story about what we want. And until that arrives, what I think we can clearly do, and what the enemy do supply us with, is a continual list of things that we don't want, and the removal of those things is good. If you haven't got a positive goal for now, just look at removing the negatives. It's a bit like saying, look, I don't know exactly how I want the house to be. I don't know how I want the house to be, but I'm telling you this, it's full of shit. So I can't even tell you how much shit's in it. But why don't we remove this bit first and see what's under that? And it's clearing the crap out. So anything that's offensive to you, that runs against what it is your drive is about for creating this more wholesome life, which we're yearning for, then we work to remove that until a more clearer vision of how we actually really do want to design the house from the ground up comes in. And I think the fundamentals are strong. We're decent people. You know, we really are fantastically decent people.
We are.
And most people across the West are good people. And in Russia, they're good people. The peasants are great. People that are not peasants are not to be trusted. It's the peasants that are the key.
That's right.
Do you know what? On that point, can I just mention something to the non-peasants, the aside, you could say, a group of people who work for the ones opposing us. So I'm going to mention, this is a shout out to everybody in the UK Special Forces. Every last one of you has had one of these things. Every one of you, your entire family have been given one of them. Your mums, your dads, your sisters, your brothers, your kids. Every one of you has had one of them. Every last one of you has been deliberately given something that's going to have significant effect on the longevity of your life and that of your children and that of your friends and that of your family. Step on the right side of fucking history. All of you. So this is to the entire UK Special Forces an embarrassment, every last one of you. And I'm going to extend that to everybody in the UK military and everyone in the UK police force. All of you are on the wrong side of history. It's an embarrassment that I am not. And I have served legal notice on your employers as an individual. Some of these people need to start getting on the same side of the screen as me and speaking out and start backing me up and helping me defend your nation, because I can't do this by myself. The Truth Movement can't do this by themselves. And we would like some of these people to actually start doing something that they're paid to do, which is defend their own nation.
spot on. And I think that Alvin Court has put something here. He says, here, come join the right side of history. Return your integrity while you still can. And he's gone on to say, honour your family. And that's what they're doing. They're acting as traitors to us. Treason. And that's it. Well, what an amazing evening. Thanks, folks. It's much appreciated. Fantastic people in chat. Thank you very much, everyone in chat. And remember, Paul English is on at 8 o'clock on Paul English Live this Thursday. And we'll be back this week. Actually, our mystery guest didn't come on. David, did he? He's going to come on for 10 minutes tonight. He didn't come on. Perhaps we frightened him off.
Very mysterious. That's wonderfully mysterious.
Yes, it is. Perhaps we said bum or tit or something. It just didn't want to come on because we were a bit. Perhaps it was Perhaps it was that. It was threatened with that marvelous product that I advertised at the beginning of the show. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming on. I think Patrick's. I think he's gone somewhere. I don't know. He's and it's been a great show. And please put your thumbs up, subscribe. If you're feeling generous, here's the old coffee jobby down the bottom here. Buy me a coffee, and whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh, and good night.